is live. So we are live and we are so excited to have you join us from everywhere across the world. We would like you to know where you are. We would like to know where you are joining from. So kindly indicate in the comment section where you are joining us from. We would just like to know where you are and see how diverse we are on this call. I would also like to know if I'm audible enough.
Yes, we can hear you properly.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, welcome everyone to the Emerging Women Summit once again. So, I'd like us to do a little challenge while we're putting where we're joining from. I'd like you to share across your platforms and put it on your status and tell everyone we are live. We are live at the Emerging Women Summit. Increase the anticipation. Remind your sisters, your girls, your friends, and everyone that you invited. Just let them know that we are live so that they don't miss out on this amazing event. So can you just do that for me? Great. I'm seeing Faith. Faith says she's joining from Ibadan. I'd like to see more comments so that I'll be sure that we're here. I'm seeing Christabel. Christabel says she's joining from Germany. That's amazing. It's great to be with you today. I'm seeing Teresa also. Thank you so much for joining. And today's event is going to be, I'll call it a three-pronged event. So we are having three events in one. It's the International Women's Day celebration program, which is the first part of the three-pronged event. We're also having the 16 Emerging Women graduation ceremony, as well as the Emerging Women Summit 2026. And it promises to be packed with so much to enjoy in this session. I believe we also have our notes pads, our pens, because I tell you, this is going to be value packed and you do not want to miss out on today's event. So tell me in the comment section, what are your expectations for sisterhood? We're talking about navigating sisterhood. What are your expectations? What drew you to this meeting? When you saw the flyer, why were you drawn to this meeting? What is it that you want to take home? So we'd like to know in the chat. So you could just put it in the chat. I would like to share that with everyone as well. So what are your expectations? So while I wait, I will just be saying for me, it was really exciting because all of us can relate with the season of our lives when we transition from, secondary school friendships or high maintenance friendships, or even these surreal friendships of university that it's easy to show up. But we come to understand that the test of true friendship is not just when it's easy and convenient to show up, but how do you navigate adulthood season? How do you navigate busy seasons of your life and still be intentional, keep in touch with people that matter? And that's what really drew me in here today. And I'm really, really looking forward to the insightful conversation we'll be having with Mrs. C, as well as our guest speaker, Mrs. Diana. So please let's know your expectations in the chat. I'm looking into the chat. I've not seen it. I believe we are typing. It's very important so that at the end of the summit, you'll be able to evaluate that your expectations for this meeting were actually met. And trust me, this is going to blow your mind. Every session we have at the Emerging Women Circle, I mean, this is talking about the mentorship, and there'll be more on that later. It's always an amazing time, value packed time. It's not going to be a waste of your time, trust me. So I want to hear what your expectations are for this meeting. While we also wait for that, you can just introduce yourself. I know some people already did that. If you are just joining, hello, 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 and welcome. And I left something out. I did not introduce myself. Hi, everyone. My name is Adeike Oluwa Alo. I'm a graduate of Agricultural Economics, and I am excited to be your host for the Emerging Women Summit 2026. I'm expecting our comments. I'm expecting our comments in the live chat. Oh, great. Christabel says, I'm here to learn how to be a better friend and sister to my amazing friends. Amazing. That is great. I'm looking forward to the rest of our comments. Ruth says, I'm looking forward to learning how to build and sustain lifelong friendships. Lifelong friendships. So some of us have even given up on some friendships that friendships cannot really work, or we just believe that friendships are just for a particular season of our lives. But as Ruth has said, we can build lifelong friendships. We can build friendships that would last the test of time. Sarah says she's here to learn how to navigate. Sarah says she's here to learn how to navigate friendship and the overwhelming effect of the commitment it takes. I think overwhelming stands out because we know that sometimes just keeping up can really be a whole lot. Showing up for your friends, being there for your friends, really. Yes, Sarah, yes, I agree with you on that. It's a whole lot. And these are lifelong skills that we will need, even not just our friendships or every sphere of our lives. So I'm still looking into the chat. I'm expecting more of our expectations. There are more people on the chat. So tell me what your expectations are. And it could even be that you're having a friendship hurt. Great. It could even be that you're having a friendship hurt. You're not even sure that this person is your sister. That kind of maybe situationship thing in a friendship. So I mean, I'll just really love to hear your thoughts so that we just dive deep into the conversation very soon. All right, Christabel says she's from Port Harcourt. Welcome. She says adulthood is a very different season and a busy one, and she says she wants to learn how to navigate, build, and nurture our friendships in this season. Thank you very much, Christabel. I believe that this would really answer your questions and give you that boost, the wisdom and the intentionality that your friendships require, your sisterhood require at this time. Thank you very much. So I'm still expecting more of our comments, our expectations in the chat. Let's do this together. Let's make this engaging. I spoke about friendships, situationships as well, and I just want to say that I believe I believe from today's conversation you'll be able to separate who your friend is, who your sister is, and who your acquaintance is. And I think it's very important to know that so that you know where to channel your energy to as a friend, not just as assumptions that, oh, she's my friend, and having unnecessary expectations. So, in a short while, we'll be introducing our keynote speaker for the keynote speech. That is Mrs. Adjure Chukwemeka. And we'll be having a session on the topic of navigating sisterhood. Let's prepare to have her now. All right. I'm still expecting our comments in the chats before I will be introducing our keynote speaker. All right, Esther says she's from Ibadan. Welcome, Esther. And Derisola says she's looking forward to knowing more about delivering value in relationships. All right, everyone. So we'll be going into the keynote speech now, and we'll be having a short bio of our keynote speaker, as I earlier said, in person of Mrs. Oluwatoyin Ajurere Chukwemeka. So we'll be having a bio now before we go into the keynote speech.
Oluwatoyin works on the convergence of education and social entrepreneurship towards human capital development. Our expertise in education intersects research, policy, and practice, and grounds her work in both philosophical and pragmatic education thought leadership that is able to shift education systems forward. She is the founder of Oak Nation Entrepreneur Foundation, a non-profit organization that provides executive entrepreneurial education, mentoring linkages, funding linkages, and other forms of resources to youth entrepreneurs leading innovative startup efforts in Nigeria, particularly within the micro, small, and medium enterprise sector. She is an author of 2 books, The Author Joseph and Driven. She's currently pursuing a PhD in STEM education at Tufts University as a Tufts Provost Leadership Fellow. Oluwatoyin is happily married to the love of her life, Chimson.
All right. So can you welcome with me our keynote speaker for today, Mrs. Toyin Chukwemeka? Can we welcome her, please, everyone? Can we see can I see the excitement, the reactions, clap emoji, the energy? Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you all so much for coming. Happy International Women's Day to you. I know that I'm saying that in retrospect, but I know that the month is also Women's Month. Please, can you confirm you can hear me properly? Yes, you can hear me properly. Okay. And my video is not doing somehow because it seems as if it's doing somehow on my end there. So I want to know if the internet loud and clear. Thank you. Perfect. I just want to be sure that my video and my audio is clear. Okay. Like I was saying, happy International Women's Day to you. What International Women's Month? Because I know this is also Women History Month. Thank you for coming and thank you for coming on time. Um, ex- I'm excited to be here with you guys. First of all, thank you so much to everyone who has been a part of this, a part of the planning. This was a bit of a back-to-back work to get this done today. We're supposed to do it next week, but some things came up and I had to move it to today. So it was a lot of back-to-back. Thank you so much for everyone who helped in holding this down. Thank you to our beautiful host, Adeike. You're doing such a wonderful job and you look really pretty. Thank you. First of all, there's a lot on my mind, if I'm being honest. Um, and every time I try to prepare for this particular session, and that kind of thing where you want to put your thoughts together and then you want to, write it down and all of that. Every time I try to do that, I end up having a lot more thought than I could write down. To the point that I had to stop doing it at some point. Like, okay, I'm just going to trust that even though I have so many things on my mind, the most important ones as I'm speaking, I'm able to touch on the most important things because the matter of navigating relationships and things like that is a conversation we can have for days. It's a conversation we can have for weeks. In fact, it's a conversation we continue to have for years because we all continue to need wisdom concerning this. And my own work here today as just a keynote speech to start us out because we're still going to have a panel session where myself and my beautiful sister-in-law, who is our guest speaker, is going to then begin to sort of deep dive into this conversation about relationships. But let me start with a question. Let me start with a question. And I need you to help me in the chat. I need you to help me in the chat. If there is one question that you would like someone to answer for you concerning navigating adult relationship, what would that one question be? I deliberately call it question. I didn't call it name. Could you please use the chat? If there's one question that is something that either for whatever reason where you are in your life right now it bothers you, or if something that you have thought about for long or an experience is forcing you to ask those questions, what would that question be? Please use the chat. I want to get a feel of where our minds are concerning this. Okay, I'm going to be waiting. All right, thank you, Temitope. Temitope say how to nurture female friendships. By nurture, okay. I want to be sure that I know what you mean by nurture. Anyway, Oluwaseyi says matching energies, how to match energies in friendships. Okay, Ayomide say how to maintain the bond despite constantly changing seasons. Amazing. Adirin Sola says how do you know when it's time to let go? Really good question. When it's time to let go, okay? I'm looking into the chat because this is really good. And I think it's also going to help us in our panel session too. It say, how can we both stay consistent? If my darling Kende can help me copy some of these questions, can you be copying them and be dropping them in my WhatsApp? Because I think they're also going to be helping us in the panel session. Okay, Omolola says, how can we both stay consistent? How can we both stay consistent? Or is it possible to be consistent in our relationship? That's from Omolola. Maureen wants to know how does one. Okay, I keep having many people unmute themselves. So I'm just going to mute everyone at once and make it impossible to mute yourself. For now. Thank you for helping me do that so that I don't have to keep muting people. All right, Maureen says, how does one maintain a healthy adult relationship despite odds and changes? Good question too. If you say how to choose friends when they didn't choose you first. Interesting question. Oluwaseyi says, especially when you are the one doing the most and the other party is not reciprocating. What to do when a friendship feels competitive? Nosta says how to deal with the grief of losing a friendship, especially when you were really close, but you no longer align. These are very, very good questions. And I feel like I feel like other people will be seeing some of these questions and be feeling like, oh, that was on my mind too. Like I can see people already saying seconded and things like that. These are really good. Okay, I'm still having more. Esther says, how do you gently let go of friendships that are not serving you? All right, good, 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 good. So in all of this question, it seems as if we're really concerned about, how do we nurture? How do we let go if we need to? How do we deal with how do we maintain? How do we nurture? How do we stay consistent? How do we match our energies? How do we deal with it when we have relationship where the other person is not reciprocating? How do we grieve when not just that we've let go, after we have let go, how do we grieve? How do you let go? There's how do you grieve after you have let go? And Christabel is asking a good question that says, are friendship meant to be people of shared values? Must we always feel like our friends are always aligned to our values? Good questions. And like I said, my own work here is really to prepare the way. Think of me like, if you're a believer, think of me as John, who is just preparing the way for the actual session where we're going to be having a panel session. But when myself and my sister-in-law is our guest speaker, we're talking ahead about this. In our conversation, something dawned on me that there's a way that we can keep thinking about this thing as if it's just about relationship. We can make that relationship something up there that we sometimes forget that it's about people, you and someone else. So my own goal is, if we're going to think about, being able to navigate our relationships in a way that keeps our relationships healthy. Okay, I'm having more questions that says, is it healthy to always unfriend people every time values don't align? I think your question is similar to that of Christabel in sense of, must friendship always be about shared value? And should we just always let go once our values are not shared? My darling sister-in-law, Mamita is saying, what about you being nice to people and they take you for granted? So there's already a sense with which I'm already hearing a sense that many of us have experienced things in our relationships, things that we probably don't like, didn't go down well with us. Maybe we have felt odd and all of that. And first of all, we are all in that WhatsApp group. I don't think there's any single person here who we have probably not gone through a friendship hurt before. If you are like that, please let us know, because you're supposed to be the one that we are all supposed to be learning from. If there's anyone here who has never felt like they've gone through a relationship hurt, things that didn't go the way they wanted it to be, someone hurt them or things like that. But like I was saying, there's a way that we can think of this just in terms of relationship. We think about it as if the relationship is just a thing, and we forget that it is human beings are involved. And what I thought that I should do in this beginning session was to really speak a bit about the person in the relationship before we then go talk about the relationship itself. Does that make sense? So, if we're trying to pursue wholesome relationships, healthy relationships, we are trying to navigate our relationships so that we keep them wholesome. We have wholesome sisterhood, wholesome friendships, and things like that. All of these things have to start from an awesome person. An awesome person navigates awesome relationship. It's as simple as that. There can be awesome relationships if we're not dealing with awesome people in the first place. And that was why I thought that it was best to start out this session focusing this session a little bit on what does it mean to be an awesome person who is showing up towards an awesome relationship. It's easier for an awesome person to now begin to say, how does the awesome person now make their relationship awesome? But there is no awesome relationship if we don't have an awesome person first. So my own work was to really think about, go back a step back to say, just like Ruth is helping me to say, people make relationships. So if we're saying that adult friendships are somehow they are hurtful and all of that, it's because people are hurtful. It's because it's people. The relationship is not something that is out there in the air. It's made up of people, you and me. So why not let's talk about ourselves first? Why not let's think about what makes an awesome person, and how then we can then go into how does the awesome person navigate awesome relationships. Now, I'll start by saying something. And I think I gave this example. I gave this example at the Emerging Women Conference, and I'm going to give it again. I gave this example at the Emerging Women Conference last October, where I was saying that imagine that two people, let's have three persons. Let's say Miss A, Miss B, and Miss C. So Miss A was going on the road, and maybe on the road, she was just walking. And then she passed a place where, for whatever reason, Miss B and Miss C eat her. That kind of thing where you're passing through. You're just going and somebody mistakenly maybe hedged you a bit. And both of them did that. But I need you to have the backdrop that Miss A already believes that Miss B doesn't like her. But she doesn't have that same understanding of Miss C. In Miss A's mind, Miss B does not like her. And then she has nothing like that in Miss C. Like she doesn't have anything like that of either Miss C like her or not in her mind. Do you think she will interpret the fact that both of them eat her the same way? Please help me in the chat. She has a understanding that Miss B doesn't like her. She doesn't have that kind of thinking about Miss C. Both of them eat her. She was mistakenly eat her. She was going on the road. Do you think her understanding of that fact that they mistakenly eat her will be the same from the two people? Do you understand my question? No, it won't. Thank you. It won't. Why won't it be? She would think it was intentional. The question is why? Someone helping me with why? Why would she not interpret both hits the same way? There's a preconceived bias. Like, Ayomide is talking like a researcher. She's using preconceived bias. The sentiment she has before, a mindset about Miss B, whether she knows it or not. So the point of it is that every action actually goes through a filter of our vantage point. It goes through a filter of our mindset. So similar things can happen, but depending on the filter that we are carrying, our interpretations become different. That's the point I'm trying to make. So it's easy to keep just talking about actions, but we need to first of all start from how are we thinking about the world? How are we thinking about ourselves? How are we thinking about others? How are we thinking about people? Because every action that happens actually goes through those filters before they become interpretations. It is not what happened that is really the issue, is how do we interpret whatever happened? And how we interpret is dependent a lot on our vantage point. So the work of wholesomeness is actually the work of dealing with our vantage point first. Is to ask ourselves again and again, where is my sentiment? How am I thinking? Do you understand? What is that what are my preconceived biases? What are those? It's like a filter, it's like a lens. What lens am I carrying? What lens am I carrying? What am I do you understand what I'm trying to say here? Because whatever lens you are carrying eventually becomes the thing that shape the way you interpret the actions that you see in the world, the actions that you see with people. If you're wearing a dark shade, everything becomes dark. You wear a blue shade, everything becomes blue. You wear a yellow shade, everything becomes yellow. And it is very possible for two people to see someone do something and have completely different interpretations of it based on their preconceived biases, based on their, I don't even call it bias as if it's a like bias. It's more like a vantage point. We have a place we are all looking from. So when I'm talking about wholesomeness, when I'm looking into wholesomeness, I'm really looking into how do we, what does an wholesome person looks like in that sense? When it comes to their vantage point, what are the key vantage point that leads us more and more towards wholesomeness? Does that make sense? What kind of vantage point do we either need to carry or need to share and all of that leads us more and more and more and more towards wholesomeness? Because our goal first in this session that I'm taking is really about the person first before we're talking about the relationships. Up until this point, what is probably standing out to you? My people in Emerging Women, they know that I always ask this question because I know that it's one thing that I'm saying, it's another thing that you are hearing what I'm saying. So I need to be sure what you are hearing. Up until this point, what are you hearing what I'm saying? Let me do that for like 1 or 2 minutes before I take it up from here. What are you hearing? I've said a lot of things, but what are you hearing? Please use the chat. Okay, I'm not seeing any chat yet. And I want to confirm that you are still hearing me. Oh, okay, I'm seeing chat now. Thank you. Just hear me, everyone has a vantage point. We have perspective that shapes our experience. Beautiful. That's exactly what I'm saying. Just to hear me. Olamide is saying there's no wholesome relationship without wholesome beings. A whole person can produce whole and healthy relationship. Awesome. I think if I put all of that together, it's different side of the things I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there's no wholesome relationship without wholesome beings. And all of us have vantage point. And the goal of becoming wholesome is actually making our vantage point more wholesome. That's the point. It starts from you. It starts from your mind. I thought your filter. Absolutely. Absolutely. Love the way you said this, Christiana. Wholesome relationship starts from you, not from the other person. It starts from you. It actually starts from you. And Christopher, it's as if you saw my note because that's what I wrote. I call it starting from you. Let's start from you. Before we start from your friend, let's start from you. Because in many of the times, the locus of control that you have is just with you. It's actually just it's really going to start from you. Start from your mindset, start from your filter. It really says our perception of people's behavior can be determined through the filter through which we receive. Absolutely. Your interpretation depends on me, not majorly the action. I truly agree with you. Because the truth is that there's action, there is interpretation, they are not the same thing. And action goes through you for it to be interpreted. So, putting some of the things I'm saying together, I am not even necessarily here to list what it means to be an awesome person for you. I can't claim to tell you that I know what that, I have the definitions of. No, no, no. What I'm here to do is to start your thoughts, is to, really lead you to go think deeply about it, share my own thoughts on some of the things I have seen from, from learning, experience, observation, going through art and all of that. And, observing both from my own experience and other people's experiences in conversations and things like that, putting some of these things together, but to really start you on a journey of thinking through these things. But honestly, if all you live here with is to realize that your relationships really starts from you, it will be such a wonderful thing. Because I feel like one of the things that I've seen in like popular conversations about relationship almost always sound as if bulk of the work lies with other people. So there's always, let me know if you understand what I'm trying to say. You see people saying haters, if they don't like you, so don't do this. And there's just a way that we almost always put the bulk of what it means for a relationship to be going well or not on ourselves, but on other people. There's a way that it's very easy to absorb ourselves, and we are the nice one, but it's other people that are the haters. We are doing our best. They are just not reciprocating. We are the Do you understand? There's just a way that you can almost always absorb yourself and make it all about the other people. And that's the first thing I'm calling our attention away from. To say the work of awesome relationship really starts from you. It does. Mary, thank you for that question. Don't worry, we'll get into it. And my conversation about starting from you is not because I'm saying that the other person doesn't have their own work to do. But I need you to also know that the other person is another you too. Do you understand? When I say another you, it's another person who is supposed to start from them too. So if all of us actually start from us, our relationship will be better. That's the point. There is a vantage point of always really calling ourselves back and say, if things are going well or if things are not going well, where is my responsibility in this and where is my contribution in it? And yes, of course, there comes a time where you begin to say, okay, I can see my own responsibility, I can see my country, I can see the way I've contributed to this, and this is what I was supposed to do. Maybe I didn't do it, or I've done it, and this person supposed to do it, they've not done it, and all of that. But the point is, you always need to remember that it takes two to tango. And so it can never just be an issue of other people, but also an issue of you yourself. And most of the time, the locus of control that you have is really with you. That's my point. If you always try to pursue a relationship thinking of what the other person is supposed to do all the time, you will always have problem because you don't have a control. You don't have the locus of control over that one. You don't. You really don't. So a couple things that I had written down, in terms of when it comes to starting with you, how does an awesome person pursue an awesome relationship who is starting from themselves? There are like four major things that are in my mind, and I don't know if I'm going to have all the time to talk about the four things. Maybe I'm just going to talk about one or two, and hopefully our panel session will begin to talk about the others. And I am going to, I don't know if I should be apologizing ahead because some of them might not be easy to hear, and it's very easy for many of us to be defensive about it. It's fine. It's totally fine. And I'm not even holding it against you. I myself will probably be defensive too. Is we need to first of all, the first thing in my heart, I'm having that kind of struggle that emerging women conference again. But I'm going to go ahead. The first thing in my heart is we need to approach our relationships from a place that is not self-centered. I'm going to say it again. We need to approach our relationships from a place that is not self-centered, that is not just always about us, that is not just always about what happens to us, what is to us, like that place where everything really revolves around you. We need to approach our relationships in a way that we are able to also see that there's a whole other human being who deserves all of the love, the care, the dignity, and every other thing that we are claiming that we deserve, who also deserve the same thing too. We need to start our relationship from the fact that other people deserve the same grace that we are hoping that they give us. We need to enter a relationship knowing that other people deserve to be cut some slack the way we expect people to cut us some slack. We need to enter relationships knowing that other people deserve the same understanding that we are hoping our friend gives us. We need to start our relationship not expecting other people to always be nice and too good issues the way we don't want other people to place that kind of pressure on us too. The point is, every little thing that you are open to see and get in relationships, we need to also approach our relationship knowing that other people need that same thing. And this thing I'm saying is easier said than done. That's the truth. The truth is that because we are humans, one of the things that the fallen nature does to us, and even for believers who are also learning, your spirit is saved, but your soul is still getting saved and all of that, is that our basic filter is our own self and our own comfort. Is the default filter. So it's why it's easy for you to see when someone have done you wrong, but not easy for you to see when you have done someone wrong. It's why it's very easy to see other people's pattern, but not your own. It's why it's very easy to see all the things that the other person did wrong, but very difficult for you to see what you contributed in it. That's why I'm saying that what I'm saying is not going to be comfortable. But if we're going to do some relationship, there's no other way than that. Or else we're just going to be deceiving ourselves. We'll be nice, goody shoes, looking all nice with ourselves, Instagram bodies and all of that. But the depth of our heart will be nice to each other, but deep down we are carrying hurt and confusions and questions about each other. So that's the first thing. Is that it's almost like a golden rule. I think the scripture calls it the golden rule, that you do to others what you want them to do to you. The idea under that is to not just keep ourselves at the center, but to also understand that the other people that we are dealing with are just as they are everything as us, as human as us, as frail as us, as susceptible to error as us, as susceptible to make mistake as us. All of these things that you have seen in yourself, understand that other people see it. And the question you ask yourself is that if you approach your relationship given the kind of grace that you are open to receive, how differently will it make you navigate them? Will some of the things that became big issues never become big issues in the first place? Would we allow ourselves to have downtimes and not always expect all of us to be at? Do you understand? That's what I'm trying to say here. That's first. The second thing that I'm going to, like I said, I have 4 things and I'm looking at my time. The second thing that I'm going to say that is going to really help a lot when it comes to being awesome people who are trying to navigate awesome relationships. But remember, I'm talking about the awesome person now. Is to realize that it is not in ourselves to give what we are looking out for the most to each other. Let me say that again. Let me backtrack. I'll say it in a simpler way, but let me say it in this more complicated way first. Both of us, as friends, we love each other. Do you understand? You're my wonderful friend, or you're my sister-in-law, whatever. But we don't have the capacity to provide the most important needs for each other. So that I love you so much does not mean that I will be able to provide everything you need. And that brings it down to the idea that to actually be able to navigate our friendship better, each of us individually will probably need to be settled. And this is where my Christian values is going to come into this. Each of us need to be settled first in God, such that what we are coming to do in our friendships is to exchange with each other the joy, the love, the sense of worth and dignity that we already got from God, not from each other. Let me know if you understand what I just said. Please let me know. Or if you want me to go over it again, this particular point, please use the chat. By now, you should already know that I'm a use the chat person. I'm a very interactive person because I need to, especially because in virtual environment, I need to know. I need to go over it again. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I don't want to make assumptions that you are understanding me. I will explain again. I'm saying we need to, yes, thank you, Ruth, you're already helping me. There's a void only God can fill, not your friends, not even your spouses. And that's supposed to be the person that love you the most in the world, not your parents. I think sometimes the pressure we put on each other in our relationships is that we are trying to get from each other what we can only get first from God. We are demanding from each other the kind of consistency and help and that sense of mercy that only God can give you first. And the truth is, if you have not found that sense of what, that sense of solace, I love the word Olutun is telling me, the sense of solace, the sense of rest, the sense of, knowing that you're already well taken care of by God. You will always show up in your friendship feeling as if your friends and your family and your relationship are not doing enough. But it's not because they are not doing enough, it's because there's nothing they can do that will be enough. They were never meant to be the one to give you that sense of enoughness. They cannot do it. They were never meant to. It makes a difference when you have already, it's like someone that's already eaten. You now take them to party. They're already eating, they're already filled. So you can go to party and they mean good. They are not doing as if they are hungry. Look and say, oh, that person did not give me food. That person did not give me food. And sometimes that's how sometimes we are tempted to do in relationships. Because we are trying to get from each other things that we are not primarily capable of giving to each other first. There's something that happens to you when you are already settled in God, such that such that you can enter into your friendships not only ready to take but also ready to give. So you are able to not just get comfort from friends but also give comfort because you have received. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that your friends your friends and your family should not provide you love and care and emotions. I'm saying that even those ones have to be received as gift from God, such that God can give it to you however he chooses to. Let me say that again. He can give those things to you. He knows you need care. He knows you need love. You need you need, emotional comfort and things like that. And sometimes the places that God is going to give you to from might not be the places you are expecting it from. And that's where the problem always comes in. So you don't want it to come, but you want it to come through a particular person. And so you are always you are strained because that person is not giving it, but God has brought another friend around you who is there for you, but you are still annoyed because the one that you want to be there for you is not there for you. There's a way that it brings you to a more settled place. If you know that your primary sense of solace, of care, doesn't necessarily come from even the people that love you, but from God. And so when it even comes from them, you take it first as a gift from God. So you are able to respond to it as a gift, not as an entitlement that they're supposed to give you because they are your friends. I feel like I'm dragging tables, but yeah, we need to say some of these things out. Because eventually we really need to, I feel like we are not realizing what it means to be humans. And sometimes our understanding of good friendships is it has this very messiah-like, like someone that's there to be able to save you every day you need them and all of that. No, your friends don't have to always be there when you need them. And that doesn't change the fact that they are your friends. They have a life too. Just as you have a life. Imagine there's one person in life who expect that everything they need should come from you. Can you be that? Can you do that? You can't. Okay, I need to start lowering my voice. You see, you can't too. And that's why that first thing I said about not being self-centered becomes important. Because the day you realize that your friend could not be there or someone could not be there at certain times, it's not because they are being bad person. It's just because, just like you, they don't have the capacity to be there all the time, even if they want to be. They just don't have the capacity. And we can't keep building our understanding on this very crazy sense of entitlement towards each other. Let's have friendships where we all feel free. And so that we are able to give to each other as free gift, not as compulsional gift. And when I say gift, I don't mean money. I mean anything we are given, love, care. It's not a sense of compulsion. It's a sense of freedom of love. But there's no freedom when we have such great entitlement of each other's. There won't be freedom in that kind of situation. Yeah. The third thing is we need to remember that we are in a fallen world and an imperfect world. And that one is supposed to go without the saying. All of them I'm saying they are building on each other. It's supposed to go without the saying, but sometimes we forget. We do. And if for anything, I feel like the temptation to forget is probably even higher for the believer. Because we have all of this idea, heaven on earth, the kingdom of heaven on earth and all of that. And sometimes we keep forgetting that heaven on earth does not mean that the heart is still not suffering from the consequence of the fall. It is. The scripture is saying it's until when the Son of God are manifested. And that manifested is not what we are calling, maybe you are shining on light. That's not what manifested means. It means when we are revealed. The one that First John is talking about, when we see him and we are revealed. That's when the heart will be released from the bondage on. So you are not in a perfect world. And you need to remember that. The meaning of you are not in a perfect world, you know what it does for you? It allows you to deal with all of the imperfections that you see in the world with a sense of grace, with a sense of hope, and not something that deters you too much. Yes, it will get at you. Don't get me wrong, but there will be a sense of hope, knowing that it's because the world is also imperfect. We're going to a world that is going to be perfect, but it's not here now. When you know that you are in an imperfect world, what it does for you, number one, even you know that even your best things will not be perfect. Your best friends, like I said, it doesn't mean that they will always be there every single minute you need them. And it will be okay. It will make you deal with hurt because some people will deliberately hurt you. That's true. But it also helps you to deal with that, knowing that all of it is set within an imperfect world. That way, you don't carry the hurt of one person to make other people pay for it. And then you carry it and turn it into a lifestyle that you are now demanding payment for what someone has done to you from other people. Other people are suffering for what one person have done. The reason why we keep putting ourselves in those kind of situations is because we don't remember that part of what it means to be an imperfect world is that things will not be perfect, and we have to be okay with that. And it's not like okay as if we should just collect it like that. No, Jesus does not leave us like that. He gave us hope. He gave us hope for an eternal life, that there's going to be a time where all of these things, tears will be wiped away. There will be no ought, there will be no all of these things. We just need to keep those things in our mind, that there's a world that is coming. But the world that we are in now, all of these things will happen. And it's not just that it will happen to you, it's that sometimes you will be the courier of it. You will be the courier of it. The truth is that for many things that you think people have done wrong to, you have done wrong to other people, but you probably don't realize. You probably don't realize. When you know that you're an imperfect world, when you deal with the imperfections of the world, of the relationship and things that are happening in a world that is already imperfect, it makes you to deal with it without becoming sinister. And that's one thing that is a big thing in my mind. I have seen that many and many people have become very cynical about relationship. In fact, we joke about cynicism about ourselves. You see some of the biggest memes that we have around relationships is always almost this thing that is about cutting people off. Do you understand? Cutting people off, doing this one. They're just a very evil eye with which we are looking at each other. These very suspecting ways that we engage each other. Do you understand? There's almost that sense where we are all very suspicious of each other, very self-protective. Everybody is just like, this person is about to, like, there's just that, yes, very guarded, very. And I'm not saying I'm not saying be unwise. I'm not saying be unwise. Jesus said we should be gentle as dove, but we should be wise like serpent. But do you understand that wise as serpent still has to go? He has to go side by side with gentle as dove. Do you know who doves are? He said he sent you as sheep among wolves. Sheep. Have you seen how dodo a sheep can be? And that's why it connects to the first thing about being settled in God. Because sometimes your settlement of not getting hurt cannot be in your friendship. It has to be in God. It has to be in the fact that God is able to protect you. And that's why you will go lull out sometimes. It has to be that. It has to come down to that. It has to come down to that. The last thing, and where I'm going to wrap up this before we start we move to the next section before we then have our session that is going to come up soon, is really around the fact that part of what I'm also learning that awesomeness is going to be being open. And by open, I mean open to a number of things. Number one, I'm calling it open to truth. Open to be able to see what it is, not what you wish it is. Because that's the other side sometimes of how some people deal with relationship. They deal with what they hope it is, not necessarily what it is. To be able to look at something and make honest evaluations and be okay with whatever evaluation you make. Like, okay, I can see that, all right, in this relationship, this person is not really interested. I'm just carrying, do you understand? I'm the one doing all of these things, and it's fine. And it doesn't make me hate them or anything. It just makes me open to the truth. Being able to deal with truth in a way that I want to say mature way, but that word can be very equivocal sometimes. Being open to love, to love people, to forgive, to know that whatever that we can move on. Being open to accountability, being able to have hard conversations, and also to be not just have conversation, because we talk about that one a lot, but we don't talk about being the person that other people can have hard conversations with. You see where it keeps taking me back to where I started from. That we need to always start from. It's people that are in a relationship, and that people includes you. It's not the other person only, it's you too. Yeah. Being able to have hard conversations, being able to be honest with each other, and to also be the person that people can be honest with, that they can tell what is really on their mind without feeling as if they're going to lose some kind of favor. I think I should stop here. Let me get a feel of the room, because I feel like people have grown quiet. Like, okay, that was not what we were expecting. Apologies if it's not what, well, apologies, but I'm not very sorry if I'm being honest. Yeah. I'm not very sorry. It's those are the conversations that we have to have because I know that sometimes even when we're talking about relationship, many of us are we want to talk about the how to guard ourselves, how to cut people off. And yeah, I get. But can we all calm down? Like, can we all first of all relax, do like this to yourself, relax first. In an imperfect world, relax. Things will go wrong. Yes, still relax. Even the fact that it grows does not mean that we cannot make it better. That we had an issue today does not mean we can no longer be friends. We can sit down, talk about it. We are human beings. But let me get a feel of the house before I throw it back to my host and we can have the second session. But yeah, what has stood out for you from my session? Thank you for listening. But I just wanted to hear what have stood out for you from this session. And while we're doing that, I hope that we're supposed to have something that is going to come up next. Please let me know, Kendi, if you are here. Let me be seeing you already so that I can be able to turn this back to you. Because I know you are supposed to be the one to go next. But while I'm also doing that, I'm also looking into the charts to ask the question, what has stood out for you in this session? Thank you. I can't seem to see Kendi though. Okay. So well and good. I can take that up too. Okay. Just Yemi says being settled in God stood out for her. Oh, my darling Dina says there's a lot actually. This friendship thing is more than just good feelings. Love that. Love the way you said it. Absolutely. And maybe that's going to be my first question for you, Dina, but now we come up. Ayo Mikun says the major summary for me is not to be self-centered, to be honest. Yes. Friends do not hold the monopoly of your completeness. Yes. You cannot fill a God-sized hole with a human being. Oh, you will wear them out and you wear yourself out too. Yes. You are the villain in someone else's story. So just as they may be in yours. All right, no problem, Adeke. I think I'm going to turn over to you when I'm done reading some of these things. This Jamie says, be awesome, humans are growing, becoming and perfect, and is okay. Awesome sister, we've been all in God yourself first. Christabel says, being able to deal with truth, to love people, being able to be accountable, to have conversation, being able to be the person that people can also tell truth to. Sarah said we have to be intentional, so be settled in God. We're imperfect people and we live in an imperfect world and we should give people grace. We should give each other grace. Yes, when I'm grounded in God, I approach my relationship with this from a settled place, from the overflow of the love I've received from Him. Relationship I give and take. I'm loving all of these things. Don't be cynical. Don't rehearse fight in advance. Thank you, Toyi. That's the truth. Like, to be honest, I started to notice it that there's a tone with which we joke about these things, but it's almost like all of us we already have the fight. The fight already in our head, and we're ready to give it to anybody that give it to us. Like, calm down, calm down. Being linear with expectation from others will help us in check with our own imperfection. Thank you, guys. Adeike, I'm trying to find you so that I can turn this back to you. If you put on your video, I'll see you. Thank you. All right. You should be able to unmute yourself because you are ghost. Are you able to unmute yourself? No. Okay. You should be able to unmute yourself now. Try it now.
All right. Wow. Amazing. I'm honestly blown away. Thank you so much, Ma, for the insightful session. It was it was for me. If I were to describe the session in one word, I would say it was reflective. I had to really think deeply about the lens through which I see relationships. So let me know if you were to talk about this session in one word, what word would it be? So let me know in the chat if you were to describe this in one word. Let me just know in the chat. I'm looking into the chat now. Looking into the chat. Said so Mary says resetting, grounding, hot. I would say table shaking. Yes, it was table shaking. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. And you can also put highlights of the session, maybe something that stood out for you, for someone else to see it in another way. Highlights really help. Reflective, phenomenal, foundational, impactful. Please don't just let this conversation slide without taking a few minutes. I would encourage you to keep your notes close by, your pen, your paper, so that you can go back and chew on these words of wisdom. It's not just enough to have aha moments, but it's very important to go back and actually implement. All right, without further ado, I'll be inviting our capacity woman, the beautiful and resourceful Kende Agbola, for the next session, celebration of the 16 emerging women. I believe she's here.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Adeke. Well done. I mean, that was such an insightful session. I mean, the moments that you're expecting something to be said, but they're coming from another angle to break tables. Anyways, let's not waste more time on that. I believe that our host is going to do justice on that. Please confirm that you can hear me clearly so I can continue. Please, I just want to see reactions. Thank you, Ayomiko. Thank you, thank you. So right now we're about to do something very, very interesting. Are we excited? I want to see reactions because it's an interesting thing we're about to do now. We're about to celebrate some women, some amazing women. I know. Okay, wait, calm down. Everybody in this place is amazing. Everybody in this room, they are powerhouses. Like, I'm always very glad to be in rooms with women like this. So we're about to celebrate the 16 Emerging Women Awardees. Yes, ma'am, I've seen that. So about to celebrate 16 Emerging Women Awardees. Please, we can start getting our video ready. So before we play our video to celebrate the 16 Emerging Women 2026 awardees, let me just give us a very short summary of what 16 Emerging Women is all about. So, on International Women's Day, there's always this thing about celebrating women who have made it, women like Mrs. Woshika, women like Obi Ezekwesili, women like Dora Kuili, let me call them our mothers, people who had gone ahead of us, they have blazed the trail and all of that. And yes, it's very nice, it's very good because these are women that we also look up to. But one of the things that we usually forget is that our journey is in process, is in is in stages. And there are women who are going through this process with grit, with purpose, with strength, who are on this journey. And they are pushing through. They are very, they are pushing through. They are very intentional about how they live their lives. They are very intentional about who they are becoming, in the journey of emergence. And these are the women and this is the premise upon which the 16 Emerging Women Awards was formed, is to celebrate women who are on their journey of growth, is to celebrate women who are, they've been pursuing their passion, they've been on that journey with strength, with resilience. Please, I deliberately put the word resilience because it's not everybody that is on the journey of emergence that, stay true to the end, but with resilience. These are the women that we are celebrating. And this is the reason why the 16 Emerging Women Awards is formed. Don't ask me why it is 16. I think you should direct the question to Mrs. C, but don't ask me why it is 16. Let's just say 16 is symbolic. However, it's just to celebrate women. It doesn't mean, it doesn't mean that every other person are not going through it, but this year we received over 100 applications, and all the applications really stood out for us, but we're just constrained with the number that we're working with. And so drum rolls, they will not play the video if we did not do drum rolls in the chat, if we did not do drum rolls with the reaction. We are about to unveil the women whose applications stood out to us, and with resilience, with passion, becoming that woman, not just a career, but a wholesome woman. And so, are we ready? I want to see us in the chat because ready, 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 ready. I hope the emerging women are here too, so that if they are not hyping you, hype yourself. You know that's in life. If you are not clapping for you, clap for yourself. But you know what I'm saying. But the people here are they're amazing people. They're already clapping for you. So we're gonna have the video now where we unveil them. Yay! Let me. My God. My God. Oh my God. I'm not seeing the reactions. I mean, the chatbot is supposed to be shaking by now. I mean, did you notice something, everyone? I don't know if you noticed anything. Did you notice how beautiful those women are? I thought I was the only one who noticed it, but those women are. Do you understand? Like, did you see the beauty, the gorgeous? Thank you, the gorgeous, gorgeous women. When I was just seeing the pictures, I was mesmerized. I'm like, God, God, these men are not just they are not just powerhouses. They are also beautiful, very, very beautiful. My sister, very, very beautiful. It's so, so amazing. And so we celebrate our 16 Emerging Women 2026 awardees. If you see yourself, just say, I see myself. And then there's one more thing that we do. We usually have this folio where, yeah, woo, don't worry, we share the flyer so that everybody can share it. So we usually have this folio where we have all of their stories, um all of their stories, where you can read more about them, their dreams, their inspirations. Tess, please kindly share the link. Will you kindly drop the link? Thank you. Yeah, so that's the link where you can have Cedar. It's see, did you just see that? This is just the cover page, guys. This is just the cover page. I mean, imagine when you now open it to read. Imagine the amazing things, the inspiring stories that you'll be reading. So check out their stories. You can download it. It's free. Check out the stories on the Emoji Folio, 16 Emoji Folio. And yes, you can connect with them as well on their respective pages. Once again, congratulations to the 16 Emerging Women 2026 awardees. You guys are so, so, so good. So I am turning it back right now, and then we'll go to the panel session.
Thank you. First of all, congratulations to everyone. Yes. And I feel like whoever is always our cover girl for every year is always shocked to see themselves. And I'm sure that Nusa will probably be surprised because Nusa is really our personal person. And she didn't know that we had our picture was just so gorgeous. And we're like, this is our cover. Yeah, this is our cover person for this year. I know you're going to be shocked. Congratulations to yourself and to everyone. The question about why are they 16, to be honest, when I started it in 22. I think this is the fourth set or fifth. I can't remember. But the first time I did this, it wasn't supposed to be a public thing. I actually did it for in out. When I say in house with my own personal people. My goal, like I always say to people, that I wanted them to see themselves the way I was seeing them. So what I did to all of them was trusted them to send me their best pictures and give me a bit of their bio. All of them wrote bios. I rewrote the bios with more professional language. And then I sort of released the image. And all of them were like, oh my God, is that me? Is that me? And as at that time they were 16. And it just made sense to call this system emerging women. And for some reason the name stuck. And yeah, maybe with time we will change it to 20 emerging women. But for now, we're still working with 16. And hopefully we'll probably continue to work with 16. All right. Congratulations, everyone. Congratulations. And part of the things that the City Emerging Women, apart from the fact that, of course, we have like the award, you know, the official congratulations, the flyers. We also do a documentation that they themselves will be surprised to see because we ask them some questions that they probably didn't know why we always ask them that question. So even they themselves are seeing this for the first time, they are going to be seeing the award document. When I say document, the folio that sort of documents their stories, they themselves are going to be seeing it for the first time and they're going to be seeing their own stories and all of that. We ask them for things that they didn't know why we're asking them for it. But yeah, it's always really, really exciting. And one of the other things that they also get to be is that they get an automatic admission into the next cohort of the emerging women mentorship for people who have not been a part of the mentorship. And yes, they always other people have to apply, but they get like an automatic slot into it already. All right. Now I'm happy to bring on board my guest speaker, who is, I think, to be honest, this year I'm really excited about this because I don't think I've ever had to have like a public conversation, like have any of my sister-in-laws be, any of my sisters or sister-in-laws be a speaker alongside me before. So this is super, super special for me. I have you guys, as I'm saying you're special for me, you're supposed to be helping me hype Dina. She's already here. She's looking really beautiful. I'm really excited, really, really excited to have Dina on board. Dina is my sister-in-law. Like you can see our name both Ed with Chukwuemeka. But when I was thinking about this session, I honestly couldn't think of it. Like she just kept coming to my mind as the best person to bring on board. And in my heart, if you ask me, we have all of this nice name for the team, like oh, navigating sister and all of that. But to me, this feels more like a big sister conversation. She's my sister-in-law. She's a big sister to me, and I'm always really excited to engage her in, to just hear from her. Okay, I'm not supposed to replace you. I'm supposed to hard to pain. Okay. Hi, Dina. Are you able to unmute? You know what? Let me just make you a co-host so that you're able to unmute yourself without me. Perfect. Hi, Dina.
Hi.
Yeah. First of all, you're looking really gorgeous. Like,
Thank you. We have
but
to
that's
match the energy in
I
the
know,
room.
I know we're matching energy, but that's it. There's no sister of mine. All of us were pretty in our house and we know it.
I know this one. Yes.
Like we're pretty and we know it. Okay, I just realized I'm supposed to play Dina's bio. Dina, do you mind if I do that? I was supposed to do that. I'm so sorry. But I think it's just good. We do this bio thing so that people who don't know you, at least we get a bit of sense of who you are based on what you want them to know about you. And then we're going to go straight into the session. All right, let me quickly do that.
Dina Chukwuemeka helps women see themselves rightly and lead from the truth, building lives guided by clarity rather than pressure while owning their value and stewarding their careers with intention. As founder of Dina Bespeaks, she guides women through inside-out transformation that aligns ambition with integrity and identity. A wife and mother of three, Dina approaches leadership as responsibility, leading with discernment and long-term stewardship in every season. Ladies, please make welcome Dina Chukwuemeka.
Okay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm already
So,
seeing my other sister-in-laws in the chats. You guys, see, if they want to say, that's when you say that there's love at all. Trust me, my sisters are that. There's really love at all. Like, this is normal for us. Like, once one person is doing something, everybody's there. Everybody's there to support. I'm really excited to see my other sister-in-laws who are also already in the chat. Thank you for coming, Mamite, Norma. I can see Fifi and all of that. Thank you so much. All right. Dina, you know what? Let me just let you speak first. To I feel like you already have thoughts based on how the session is already unfolding. Before I even start asking you a question, if you have like first thoughts on this topic, please take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much, Toyin. I was taking notes. We obviously talked before this, and my mind is always a few steps ahead. So it's like you brought up this topic, and I was like, God, why will I be talking about this topic? And at the same time, I felt, God, you've been doing a lot of things recently and showing me a lot of things recently that this is a right time to have this type of conversation.
Mm,
It's a big conversation. As you said, sorry, but not sorry, right? It's not about the hype. Relationships are what all of us deal with. And then friendships that are wholesome sisterhood is something that we keep talking about in different ways. And I keep hearing the same type of thing. One thing I wrote down, I was taking notes as I was moving around, was we'll talk about it, but the whole matching energy, there's the matching energy thing, there's the protection thing, like you said. But then even when people were giving the reflections at the end, I was like, oh, people get it. Honestly, people get it. All the things that I had to say still based on the foundation.
mm,
We cannot seek to have people, even friendships, fill a gap only God can fill. So if your identity and your affirmation is in your friendships and you over prioritize it, you will always, 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 always feel like other people are wrong or you are wrong or I should cut people off, etc. So I'm glad that people are already getting it, because really now we're just flushing out some things, or maybe being able to meet and say, okay, I'm not the only one that thinks like this. I'm not the only one that actually believes that there is honor in friendships. I'm not the only one that thinks that God has us in community for a reason. But then how do I practically show up there? And even as you said in the beginning, you said like the topic itself is like, I don't know, I don't want to say deep because people use that word a lot, but it is. Our relationship, let me start it like this. So even this week, God had me in certain places where it was just about relationships. And so it brought some things to the surface for me. I've been using this framework called CFRR. It means creation, brokenness, redemption, restoration.
mm,
And it's what my school uses to lead the whole school, even children, teachers, through understanding our world from a biblical side. So
mm,
creation, Genesis 1 and 2, talks about how God created things to be. Everything is in Genesis 1 and 2. Like once you read Genesis 1 and 2, you know how God wants our relationship with him to be, how God wants our relationship with other people to be, how God wants our relationship in the space and the land and the dominion in which we have. Genesis 1 and 2, everything is there. Then we go
mm,
to Genesis 3, is about brokenness. What happened? Something broke. A lot of things happened, right? So it broke our relationship with God vertically, and it broke our relationship also horizontally with each other. Then we have redemption, which is where Jesus comes in with the Gospels, and Jesus is continuously redeeming relationships with people, literally, and he's redeeming our relationship with God vertically, but he's redeeming a lot of horizontal relationships as well. The thing that you talked about, where we think we don't live in a utopia, so there's no perfection in this side of the world, right? Heaven on earth does not mean we have perfection, we don't have sickness. Please, I hope that let's use wisdom in this thing. It doesn't mean those things cannot be. The only true restoration is when Jesus comes back again. So, though God, with his grace and infinite mercy, gives us a glimpse of what restoration can look like, we are not restored yet. We are
mm,
not fully restored yet. Heaven is not fully on earth yet, right? And so I use this framework to set this up, because anything that I say is going to be around what did God intend? Where did things go wrong? How are we redeeming our relationships today? And the hopes, of course, what restoration is, where the Bible talks about will be in heaven, heaven on earth, etc. But I'm really happy to be here, because relationships, they can make or break you. I know it sounds cliche to say that, but they can make and break you, because
either people are leading you towards Christ and what God is doing to sharpen you, or people are leading you away from Christ. So now God has to keep redeeming, and helping us get on the right path, right? Based off of the things that we do in our own, what do you call it? Our own will, our own free will. So I don't know what I've said, if I've said too
You
much,
said,
if I said, but that's where my mind is right now.
honestly, you've not said so much. And I think I love what you've already done for us in the sense that you are giving us a framework to work with, to give us like a foundational thing. So whatever we're talking about, we're looking at it in terms of what did God make, what broke, what did He restore. So where does whatever we're talking about, where does it fit? And when we know where it fits, we know how to deal with it. And
Yeah.
now to piggyback, I'm going to start with something. As you were speaking, something began to occur to me. Please, can you confirm that you can hear me? I just saw that my connection was
Yes, you
unstable.
broke a little bit, but I can
Yeah,
hear you.
I'm back now. Okay, thank you. There's something you started saying that I found really interesting. You know, there was a way I wrote the question at first, but as you were speaking, the question changed for me.
Okay.
Initially, I was going to ask you, you know, um, we all talk about how relationship is hard and, what makes it hard and all of that. But it occurred to me that as you were saying, the intention of God and all of that, and I was like, in that instant, I asked myself, did God intend relationship to be hard? And it occurred to me, like just what you said has done a lot of work in my mind to realize that could it be that even not just relationship itself, but our perception of it, our sense of it is what needs to be redeemed first. Not even before our relationship is redeemed, because I'm asking myself, where did I get the idea that relationship are supposed to be hard from?
Mm.
It was a question I was asking myself. And I'm like, if you look back into Genesis 1 and 2, relationship are precious. That's the idea you're supposed to take out of that. Not relationship are hard, but they are precious. And it's making me wonder, like, how many more things have we even started from the wrong foot because we didn't know what was the initial intention of them?
Yeah.
Like what was the initial intention? And I want us to speak a little bit because I know relationship have gotten a lot of bad reps, friendship have gotten a lot of bad reps, and I want us to talk first of all to sort of redeem that image and talk about what have you found about the preciousness. Let's not talk about the hardness, let's talk about the preciousness because it is precious. What have you found about the preciousness of adult relationship, of being an adult who have relationships around you? What about that have you found to make you just realize that God is wise in doing? Yeah.
Yeah. God is wise because the commandment he gives us is love me with all your heart and then love others. Like 1 and 2. Like that's what it is. What I've seen as precious about it is that God is so wise to know that look at it was just Adam and Eve and they still sought something to fill a gap when they had everything. Like that tells you something, like we are so incomplete as humans on this side of earth that we will always be seeking something outside of God to fill it. I think someone said it, and even in the chat, but the way I heard it was we keep looking to have imperfect people fill gaps, and we will always be disappointed. The thing is, I think we should expect disappointment because as much as you think people are always hurting you, people are bad friends, they're ghosting on me, remember you too have hurt people, you've offended people. Let me leave you. I have offended people, I've hurt people, I've said things I shouldn't have said, I've thought things I shouldn't think, I've been angry. And you mentioned an example earlier about if you know this person and something happens and they look you somehow, right? The person that you know, right, versus the one you don't already like, that look will be received differently because it's your own lens. Like you said, if you're wearing shades, if you're the ones wearing shades, you always see darkness.
Mm,
You always see darkness,
mm,
right? And so friendship is, I think it's precious because God, he made it like that. There's
mm,
something about it. I'm not a theologian, but the thing about the Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, there's something about
mm,
that is precious. And it is also a mystery. I don't think we can truly understand it all. I remember Noma told me one time, she was like, she had a priest that told her, everything is in the Bible. Whatever is meant to profit us, whatever we're meant to learn is what is there. So if you don't see it in the Bible, that is where we'll always leave room for whatever God is doing, probably personally. But what is there is what we're meant to learn. So there's something there about relationship that God is saying, you need it. You need it, but you don't need it more than me. Because even marriage, that he says two will become one, he still tells us not to put marriage above him. Do you know what I mean? Isn't it a mystery? Like it's a mystery. Why would he say two will become one, but like this is your person, you're one, but then still there's a boundary that God puts on the place that your spouse has in your life.
Hmm.
Like it's a weird, I don't like the word balance, but how do you balance that? How do you reconcile that truly? I'm supposed to be one with this person, truly vulnerable, everything, and then still not too much where God cannot come in this place and be at the center. So I see it the same way with relationships. Like it's such a mystery. Like God wants to give us so much joy from this thing. And at the same time, the joy is just a glimpse of the joy we would have truly in Him in true restoration.
Hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, you're actually saying a lot of things. Like I don't even know where to go into. But I'll piggyback on two things. The
Mhm.
first one is where you were reminding us again that the idea of relationships was not, it didn't start from us. We are
Mhm.
only called to reflect it because God Himself, the Godhead, is situated within relationship, the Trinity relationship. So our relationship was supposed, the whole idea of us having a relationship is supposed to just be a reflection of that. That's the first thing that's really standing out for me. That, sometimes we talk about, the marriage relationship only from this perspective. We talk about how, the relationship between the man and the husband is the man and the woman is the relationship between Christ and his bride. But we don't think of our friendship and the idea of other relationship from the fact that it's supposed to reflect God's own idea of relationship because he was the one that had relationship first. I feel like that's one thing that stood out to me. The second one that stood out to me from what you've said, and I'm saying some of these things out back for even if people missed it or not, I'm for re-emphasis sake, is that part where you were saying that you need God created relationships. He wanted us to have them, but he knew that we need them, but we don't need them more than him. And he's sort of reminding me of something. He's reminding me of something. There's a particular part in the scriptures that I've always thought about. It's in Colossians, where he was saying that Christ was created before all things, and in him all things consist. That's how KJV says it. But other version says all things find their proper place.
Mhm.
And it occurred to me that that was what I was remembering as we were saying that it is true that God has created our relationship, our friendships to give us joys, but they can only give us joys when they are within their proper place. So
Yes.
there is a proper place in God for them. And
Yes.
that's why our need has to first of all about for God, because He is the one that can help us find the proper place to fit them in. And I think that is extremely, like, that's super, super, super good. Because it also helps us when we have to navigate relationship. So we don't just navigate anyhow. By that I mean I'm remembering something because I realized that one of the things that helped me a lot in relationship that I feel like my last couple of years, my relationships have become a lot better. Not necessarily because of anything different, but just my own mindset change. And one of the big changes that happened to me is to understand this whole idea that it is God that find the proper place for every other thing. So even my friendships, if anything is happening, I'm asking God, first of all, what's the place of this one? If we're having issues, I'm asking, is this a place that is already telling me that is a relationship that I need to sidestep? Or where is you are the one that can help me interpret and find the proper place for what is happening and for this relationship. Let me ask you a second question. And that's one of the ones that we started talking about when we are having the conversation. And I'm just going to jump right into that one because that's the one that I think that is a big issue. Many people have had serious issues with friendship hurt and relationship hurt. You can hear a lot of the questions that we've had in the chat when we started out, the whole idea of, we want to match energies, how do you ensure that? I think there's someone that was asking when people are not reciprocating, you are doing your best but they are not reciprocating, you need to let go. Somehow, the whole idea of letting go and grief all comes down to the fact that we are not receiving from our relationships what we hope to be receiving,
Mhm.
desire to be receiving, or expect to be receiving. So somehow, whatever that is looking like, at the heart of the whole idea of letting go, the whole idea of should we match energies, is that something is not coming the way we expect it to come. And I want us to talk a little bit about that in terms of how to navigate that.
Yeah.
And when myself and you were talking, one of the things we spoke about, and I'm just going to jump right into that, is the issue of accountability and the issue of conversations, of being able to really maybe talk with, I don't know if let's talk about talking with other people, yes, because I've spoken a lot about your own part, right?
Mhm.
In terms of how do you keep a relationship where being able to have conversations is not hard? I know that's a big question. Like, you are able to really, you are not just sulking about the things that is happening in your heart, but you can talk with your friends. You can talk with your people and say, this and this is not going well. I don't like what you are doing. I'm putting more energy, you are not. How do we bring ourselves to that point? And how has that been for you, is my question.
Yeah, let me start with, you talked a couple times now about, should it be that hard, right? I don't know why we fear hard. It's just
Hmm?
like, I think we fear conflict, and we know that that is literally where that's where growth happens. We all know that quote, right? The reps, do the gym, everything has a level of tension and pain that truly is worth it, let's be honest. So I don't know why we fear hard. People are scared to say my marriage is hard, having conversations. I, I I've come to put different lens on the word hard, or it takes work. It does, because we are two imperfect people, and all of us are imperfect. And now we're trying to do this thing of somehow becoming one, or having people talked about values and values changing. Maybe we'll get to that later, maybe not. But it's like, it's going to take work. Why? I think we also don't, the word ease is misused. When God is talking about ease in certain things, it doesn't mean that everything will just flow. Let's be honest. And I get it too sometimes, because I've said it myself, where when I make a decision, I want to feel peace. Not be every decision I feel peace, but I know it's God, honestly. There are some decisions that I know I have to make, or some things that I have to do, and I myself in my flesh, I don't want to do it. I don't feel peace about it. What I feel about it is, I know that based on what I understand of the Bible, based on what, even this thing you're saying, accountability, based on what God expects from me and how he wants me to show up, whether I feel I can do it or not in my flesh, I go to him by the Spirit, I can do it. So I don't always look for peace or look for ease in everything that I do, and to say that, yes, this is good. Yes, this is healthy, because sometimes we do that. And so even in a relationship, we may be having some tension, and if we're having a disagreement, now I've thrown everything away. What do they say in America? I've thrown the baby with the bathwater. Everything is out, because we've had one disagreement, we've had one thing. We
Hmm.
won't talk again. You've hurt my feelings once, and that's it.
Hmm.
So I wanted to say that first, because I think things are hard, and things don't always come easy, and
Good
I
thing.
don't really know if they're supposed to.
So good things can be hard, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
why not? I would ask guys, have you ask, people should ask themselves, why should good things be easy? I mean, I think a lot of us here are people of faith. I'm seeing in the thing. Jesus died on the cross. That was good. Was it easy?
Hmm.
I mean, like, was that easy?
Hmm.
Do we know what it means to be killed? We don't. And we watch and we see things, but that was hard, but it was good.
Hmm.
you know? So I know it's kind of like an extreme way to kind of make a point, but that is how my new lens is. Just because it's hard, just because I have an argument with my husband, my sisters, my mother, even if it's for a long time, 3 months, 2 months, and everybody that put shoulder, I don't necessarily see it like it must be out. There's a wisdom to everything. So I think a lot of times, I wrote it down here, maybe around performance and the kind of the mindset we're in. Um, we're we're so used to blueprints and 3 points, and we know, because we're both in this space, right? We're in the education space, we're in the knowledge space, we're in the coaching space, and it's good, right? There's goodness there. However, sometimes we put those same frameworks, blueprints, 3 steps, 10 steps to just, and life doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And guess what? You have to be open enough to see that your blueprint, you Toyin Chukwemeka's blueprint on certain things is your own special one between you and God. It may not be a blueprint for you to share with other people, truly. It may be just how God wanted you to navigate your own life. That's why even when we read the Bible, David's blueprint, where we will distill knowledge, right? Wisdom. It may not be a blueprint. I'm sorry. So the David anointing, it's wonderful, but everybody get their own blueprint. God loves us that much that we're still so much like his own that we still have something different. And I'm not saying don't do the framework. I'm not saying that. So I hope you hear me with wisdom, whoever is listening, because I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there are times, especially with relationships, that you may listen to something and we say, gems, 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 but it's gems for them. Take the gem and see, is it particular to my own? And I know we'll get in the in-laws thing, but there's many times like people will be sharing things about in-laws and my sisters and this. And there's times early on I'll be like, should my sisters be doing this? Should they not be doing this? And it's like I can listen to what they're saying without making it my own. Let me be in my own, like maybe it's just for me to glean their wisdom and then ask God, what's up, in my own? Is there anything here? Because sometimes we hear good things and it's like, yes, it's great. It sounds good. It's sound bites, but you got to make sure that you're not spreading on your life what other people are sharing just directly like that. Take it in, process it in, slow down. As you said, relax. We're always going so fast. Relax, right? I know I've not even answered your question because I haven't gotten there yet. The question you asked and where you started was about accountability. You said, what does it mean to truly have these conversations
Have
with
hard
people?
conversations, yes. Yes.
Because relationships are in seasons. And I think sometimes we want to define a season too early. We'll say, oh, this is my A1, 10 years, 20 years. This is my best friend. We define sometimes too early. And I think that's why that expectation can be set where the tension can be whatever. I learned early that proximity is a big thing in relationships. Proximity can hurt you or help you. I've learned to see that proximity is not just where we are physically, but also the presence that someone has in your life. So even if we don't talk all the time, what presence do you have in my life? It's not about how many calls we have in a week. I'm not talking about that presence. Remember, Genesis 1 and 2, you learn everything about what God intended. Presence is there. You don't beg for presence. You're not necessarily looking for it either, because God was there. Say he was there in the cool of the night. He was there. So there's a presence and a proximity, right, with relationships. That I think is the foundation because that's where expectations are set. I will give a caveat because friendships come different ways. Someone had put in the chat, people choosing you versus you choosing them. Some friendships are college, we're neighbors, we're this. Those things are there. I often wonder when you're in a relationship, do you recognize you're in a relationship? Like, are we friends? And then if we're friends, do we have a level of expectation we've set or are things just assumed? So as a project manager, at work I've done in project management, you never assume and you actually write down assumptions. Hey, I assume this, and this. Is this true? Because when you assume things, you assume we're just good. You assume because we're just from the same country, we're from the same tribe, we're from the same gender. We do it all the time. I also do it. We do it and it helps us, but sometimes in a friendship, it cannot help you. I think also in a friendship, and we're talking about conversations, there has to be transparency. I heard something this week that I was like, God, this is just for this day. The person said, to be fully loved requires being fully known. Vulnerability, transparency. I say, hey, you see that one? I won't lie. God is still doing a work. That self-protection you talked about, I wrote it. People want to make sure that they're protected because we have hurts. There's no life you'll live where you don't have hurts. You're going to have hurts, you know? And so how can we be honest and vulnerable and be loved, been fully known? All of those things I thought about when we're this thing about relationships, like what does that mean to be fully known? And it's not specific. It's particular to your different situations, right? There's times that recently DDK talked about secret versus private. We've talked about secret versus private. Not everything needs to be public, right? Secrets, there's a place where secret is really to me iron protection. Like you want to protect yourself in a certain way. But private doesn't necessarily mean even if I have 10 friends, even though that's a lot. I don't even have 10 friends. But if I have 10 friends, it's not every friend has the same type of access to certain information about me and not access real time to everything that's happening in my life. Right? So there's a being known, and then there's the accountability, like you said. Iron sharpens iron. I don't think you can be a friend. I know you can't be my friend if you can't tell me the truth, and I can't tell you the truth. Telling the truth, and I'm talking about even God's truth that we say, let's tell God's truth in love. If you can't tell me I'm wrong and I can't tell you you're wrong, even if we want to talk about how to say it, how is one thing, but even if I can't tell you, I don't believe we have a true relationship or friendship, you know. And of course, situations come up that sometimes truth comes out, right? And then you start telling people things because sometimes you wonder, should I tell them? Is it worth it? You know, we go back and forth. But if I can't sharpen you, you can't sharpen me. It's not a friendship anymore. And that's what we see in relationships. People can't tell people when they're wrong. And I'm not talking about being judgy just for the sake of being judgy. There's the verse that talks about judging people righteously. The verse about Matthew goes through how to deal with issues. Maybe you should read Matthew. I forget the verse, please. No theologian here. But it talks about how to deal with issues personally with people and within the body of Christ. It goes step by step how to deal with it to the point where if that person is not held accountable, you remove them now.
Mm,
But it's
that's
not removing with by the time you got there, do you know what I mean? Let's be honest. By the time you got to that level, that means that person, they have already, their level of pride, only God will work with them. You will not change them. Your conversation, your petting them, is not going to change them. So it tells that you should remove them from the community. Like you should remove them. And I don't think that's a harsh removal. That's a kind removal. That's
hmm.
accountability. Because if we're acting like, oh, friendships, we should just everything should be good and yeah, I'm loving. You doing something doesn't mean people will do it to you. Even the Bible said, love your enemy. So if someone is your enemy, it's okay. You will still love them and pray for them now. So I don't even see like the issue there. I can give you space and pray for you and let God work on my heart so I'm not bitter. You know what I mean? But if you think that you will just keep everybody close, and by keeping everybody close is because you think you are more God to people than people are, like you are more God to people than God is to them. Sorry, that is not accountability. And Jesus never taught being in a space where you are the one that you will be everybody's savior. Jesus is the savior. So there's accountability that you talked about. Someone mentioned about shared purposes and goals. Though we are called to be a light to everybody, and I'm not talking about preaching people, Bible thumping, and telling people you will die and go to hell. I'm not talking about that. There's friendships and relationships that come at work, etc., that you may not be of shared faith or same values. But I'm talking about friendships that you believe you're called to. They should help you grow in Christ. If they don't help you grow in Christ, I will have you check your heart with God, honestly. If every time with this person you're not growing in Christ, you're gossiping, you're drinking, they're leading you away from what you believe and what you claim your values are and what you know. I will have you evaluate that and have conversations with them. But really, I feel like you will know because I think sometimes we act like we don't. What we see in people is not who they are. What we see in people is who they are at that moment. We all have room for growth, and what people see in us are in moments too. Do you know what I mean? Then there's the consistency. Someone mentioned consistency. I think trust grows through repeated presence, proximity, transparency, having conversations, having disagreements, you know, that happens. But the conversations have to be vulnerable. I guess that's it for me. They have to be vulnerable. And you can't put yourself on a pedestal. The Bible says, don't think too highly of yourself, but don't think too lowly of yourself, right? So don't put yourself on a pedestal to think I'm the only one that knows how to do this friendship thing. I'm the best of friends. That no, you're not. All of us, we are on the other side too.
Hmm.
But I think so the conversations with friendships, and when you're talking about friendships truly and things that maybe even people have hurt you, said church hurt, friendship hurts, you have to evaluate that honestly with yourself and say, does this person lead me to Christ, away from Christ? Do I have fruits myself? Do I have fruits that show up? Where have I also missed it? You know, conversations are hard, but I'm not running from hard is my new thing. I'm not running from hard. We keep teaching kids you can do hard things, but we didn't say the quote, but do you do hard things? And when something gets hard, you start feeling like, this is it. I'm done. And the only place we don't do that is in marriage, because besides biblically, culturally, we are taught that this thing called marriage is the only place where nobody can come out, irregardless of what's going on. That's the only place where we even try to say, let me stick it out.
Tina, there's a lot in what you have said. Like I have like a full note that I'm not even sure where to start from. If
Me
I'm
too. I
being
don't even
honest.
know where I went. I don't even remember the question.
No. It's interesting because honestly, I can see a central theme to everything you've said, even if you look as if you said many things in your point. But I see a central theme to it. And the central theme that keeps saying coming up is our understanding that good things can be hard. That hard does not detract from the goodness or preciousness or wonderfulness of something. And why I see that as a central theme is that many of the other issues you're talking about, usually a good number of times comes because we find it difficult to deal with hard. Not assuming and doing the work of really being sure that you're on the same page with your friends is a kind of hard work. It's a kind of work that tells you to stop and to reflect. It's hard. Dealing with the truth that, okay, this person is doing something, whatever I'm doing, what this person is doing, the pattern is hard. Having conversation is hard. Being honest about the idea that proximity and presence are not the same thing is hard too. All of these things, I feel like that for me, that was like the connecting theme across everything you said, in the sense that, just that practicing the honesty of what our relationship really is, practicing the honesty of what our friendship is doing to us, doing to our friends, being able to have conversations, being able to, just being able to do all of this honesty, being able to tell each other when we're, being able to be a friend that you can tell that you're wrong, and you're also able to tell your friends that you are hurting each other and all of that. It all boils down to heart. It all boils down to being able to do things that you might not always be comfortable with. And for me, I feel like one big thing that is coming out of what you're saying to me here is this idea that there is no good friendship, good relationship outside of being able to deal with discomfort. I feel like if I have to summarize some of the things I've been hearing to say, that's how I'm going to think about it. That at different point, the health and wholesomeness of your relationship will push you towards having to do things that you rather not do. It will push you towards being able to be honest with a friend and say, what you've not been doing right by me. It's a difficult conversation because yes, they can take it in a different way. There's a lot of things that you might be worried about. But if you don't have that conversation and it's all in your mind, it eventually influences the health of that relationship because you eventually show it, even if you don't say it. So for me, I feel like the biggest almost like a brainwash, if I have to call it that, for me here, is to understand that good does not always have to mean easy. And it's such a big it's a big turning point because I know that we have particularly glamorized what good friendship means. We've glamorized the idea that for your relationship with someone to be good, it has to be that you probably don't have as much conflict, you don't, yeah, things don't, like you said, your husband is nice, so you don't fight. You hear people talk about they've never fought with their husband for 15 years, that's why their marriage is good, and things like that. But just this idea that good it doesn't have to mean easy. And it's, the other thing I was thinking about, and you probably didn't talk about this, but I'm going to bring it up. And if by the time I start bringing it up, you discover that it's connected to some of our other conversations that is not about this one, is that, is it not interesting that we are happier to embrace hard when it comes to all these our projects and professional growth, but when it comes to relational growth, it's more difficult to embrace hard. It's easy to motivate ourselves, like do it afraid. Do it afraid when you want to release a book. But who is telling you do it afraid when you have to have a hard conversation with a friend?
Exactly.
So it's almost like we are all happy to embrace hard when it comes to the things that puts us in the spectacular.
External
That,
things.
yes, external things that puts us in spectacular, that makes us look like happening people. We are growing, our career is growing. But the things that are the backside of the desert, like our friendships, it becomes difficult. But the truth is that the same way you know that if you don't face your fears, if you don't take courage, if you don't, wake up, stop being lazy, you will not grow professionally. It's the same way. If you don't face art in relationship, your relationship don't grow. It's as simple as that. And for me, I feel like that's one of the big things that is standing out here. This idea that good friendship doesn't have to mean easy. And I've told you this when we're having this conversation, that it makes so much sense to me, because some of my most important friendships have actually been some of the most difficult ones.
Mm.
Not all the time, quite all right, but a couple of times, some of my closest friends are people that I have some of the biggest issues with.
Mm.
But what has made it closest friendship is that the issue is not enough to pull us apart. And I feel like there's something I want to say to particularly the generation after my own, and even to
Which one
mine.
is that one? Which generation is it?
I don't even know. is the idea is this idea that how do I say this nicely? Because I feel like I've been saying a lot of things that is uncomfortable. Is this idea that honestly we don't have to embrace this thing that just wants everything to be easy and everything to save us and everything to just be all well and nice and Instagram worthy. That good things, the things that are useful, the things that has value both here and beyond here, they come in the ordinariness and the dirty work of hard. That some of your best friendships will come with people who you're having issues with. Only if you know how to persist with each other. That sometimes we need persistence. Sometimes we need this ability to be able to be able to talk with each other, to be able to be honest with each other. That this I just want us to be able to embrace this thing that we need to live glamour. That what is me, someone once told me something and it made sense. It was like he has learned to know that it's not every friend that is saying, oh, my friend on Instagram, that it doesn't always mean that they are close. Oh, and it's true. It's really true. This idea that we feel like because we are close means we always have to be in each other's DM. We always have to, we always have to be close online, have pictures together and all of that. There's just this glamour, this sense of everything must be easy for you to be good. That we keep living the ordinariness. We keep living the things that are not glamorized. They are harder to deal with. And the last thing I'm going to say before I ask you the last question is that thing you said about presence over proximity. And one of the things that Dina keeps doing for me is to give me language. And I said that to you when we had that call, because this matter has been a big thing in my heart. And depending on where you are in your life right now, as you are hearing this, if you're in school or something like that, it might be okay for you to judge the weight of your friendship from proximity. But there will come a time, there will come a season that will demand you to shift, or else you will lose all your friendships. That's the truth, or else you will, because presence, and I didn't even have a name for it the way you had, because it made sense to me. Like, oh my God, that's true. Some of the friends that are my friends are not because we are talking every day, is that they know. There's a way one of my friends used to say it. She used to say that I'm trying to use one of my friends' words. She used to say that our friends are the ones that they know when something is wrong. They know when to reach out. They know there's almost like a sense of almost like a spiritual connection. I've not spoken to you in 3 months, but your name is in my heart, and I know I'm supposed to be praying for you. That's presence. Do you understand? That's knowing that I have friends that I know that I don't need to talk to them, but the day I need them, I can call them. And in whatever way they can be there, they are going to be there. There are people that I go to that I don't need to. I don't need. This is what I'm trying to say. That I feel like we've glamorized this whole idea that proximity have to mean good relationships. But I beg to disagree. that presence is probably the thing we're supposed to be aiming for. Is that we really know each other's hearts. That you can see something and you know. You know, I remember there was a time like that. I was talking to one of my friends and long ago, and I saw her with someone and she was laughing and all of that. And as I was looking at her from her, I was like, this laugh that this girl is laughing, this girl is annoyed. And then I went to go and meet her and I was like, what that person was saying was annoying you, right? She said, yes. How did I know? I'm like, yes, I know you. I know that there was something about that laugh that was very uncomfortable. The person cannot see it, but I can see it. Do you understand? There's a sense of knowing that coming to know each other. That is not even just about we are talking to today, we are talking tomorrow. Anyway, don't let me keep going back on the things you've said. Let me ask you a few more questions. And this one is big. Let's come to the other ones. Now we've been talking about friendships and relationships. Let's talk a little bit about the other one that you've spoken about, which is around when it comes into a bit more familiar relationship. When I say familiar, and I mean familiar relationship, family level relationships. Because when it comes to friendships, we can say it's not working. So
Yeah.
good enough to bad rubbish. But you can't do that to your sister. Or at least I hope you don't do it to your sister. Because some people do it now to their sisters anyway. You can't do that to your sisters. You probably don't do that to your sister, you wouldn't do that with your mom. You wouldn't do that with your spouse. I hope that you don't do that with your spouse. When it comes to relationships where there is already an expectation tied to it, and I'm coming to the in-law one. I want to talk about the in-law one more specifically, but I want to talk about this one first. We're talking about adult relationship that already has a sense of expectation tied to it. This is your sister. You are supposed to be there for them. You are family. This is your mom, even though they probably are giving you some issues, but this is your mom. This is your, because people are having some of these issues. This is your brother. This is your uncle. They are stressing you, but they are your family. How do we navigate this hardness? And this time around, I'm going to put a layer on it in the sense that how do we navigate hardness in a way that we don't make ourselves the sacrifice? Does that make sense? Where we are not doing hard in a way that keeps grating at our soul, as if we are not worthy of care too.
Yeah, yeah. It
That's what
goes
I
back to what we've already said. Because even though, like you said, even with family and like, oh, we never fight. It's your definition of fights. If your definition of fight means we're arguing, then of course you've never, you know what I mean? Like you have to always do, I'm a big definitions girl. So when someone says a word, I say, what do you mean by that? Like, what's that mean for you? I think the with family, it goes back to what was already said about to me creation. How
Mm,
can I honor without losing my identity? Because scripture tells us obviously to honor our parents, and I take that as also honor your family. But it doesn't mean I'm losing myself or like I'm compromising myself or my convictions. Do you know what I mean? So I can honor you with respect, I can be humble. Sometimes even if I want to have a truthful communication, I may not be able to have it, depending on, again, we're in African relations context here. So it's not everybody and you'll be saying your whole heart, or I gotta tell you the truth. You know what I mean? Like it's not like that. So there's the honoring but keeping your identity, because again, you and God, that vertical relationship is still number one. Then
true.
this thing called grace. Someone told me once, they said history is long. History is long. And the thing with expectations is that they're layered, so layered, and misunderstandings are common. So just know that that will happen. So there's always, I think, you said something about practicing honesty. I think there's also practicing grace, forgiving, assuming good intent, remaining patient, someone's having, like, knowing the person too. Like if you yell at me today and I know this is not normal to, like, this isn't usually how we interact, then I can have good intent to say something's going on with Toyin today, like this is not, you know what I mean, instead of saying, okay, see what she's doing, me too, I'm gonna do I'm matching the energy at the same thing. I remember in marriage prep, they always say if somebody's shouting, you come down. Like you can't have two people shouting at the same time. So somebody has to be humble, you know. So honor, grace, and then there's still boundaries. Let's be honest. Sometimes you may have to cut off your sister. You have to cut off. But what does that cut off mean? Does cut off mean maybe I'm not interacting with you as much physically? Does it mean when you talk, I let you talk? I don't, I'm not trying to get the last word in. How to keep the peace without faking peace. So there's always this people, I'm keeping my peace. Peace doesn't mean you're also internalizing. You still have bitterness. You still have resentment. So you're not keeping the peace. You're not. But what does it mean to truly keep the peace, right? I
Can I
think it's an internal work.
can I
Like if
stop for
I,
a
yeah,
I apologize. I'm going to have to stop you because I want you to. You started saying something and I don't want you to go away from,
yes.
and that's the matter of boundaries and the
Mm-hmm.
matter of cutting off. I really want to get a little bit into that because I wrote it down here as how do we, okay, how do I say it? When I think of boundaries and I think of the fact that there are times, even the scripture was talking about, the scripture that we were talking about the other time was saying that there was a time that the person refuses to hear the church, you let them be like an idiot and like a tax collector. That looks like
Right.
cut off, right? There's the sense
Mm-hmm.
of access. How do we, I feel like the question I'm really trying to ask is, how do we really understand how to do that boundary thing in a way that does not turn us into a sinister, any small thing you have cut people off, any small thing you have cut people off kind of person, but also in a way that ensures that we don't keep ourselves in a place that makes us unnecessarily vulnerable and not being that, that thing that is wise like serpents, gentle as dove. Because it's
Yes.
a tricky balance, if you ask me. And just like you're already saying, there's a sense of, okay, there are times when you have to let people go, let
Mm-hmm.
people go. But what does that let go mean? That does not keep you in a place of hurt. That does not also put you in a place where you are 18 and all of those kind of things. I think I want you to speak a little bit about the whole idea of keeping boundaries, especially when you're dealing with difficult people. Yes.
Yeah. Ah, if I figure that one out, all of us will be rich now. Because because it's this thing, like you said, it's still practice, right? It's
Mm.
still practice and something that I think in retrospect, you start piecing together, okay, this happened, this like if you really sit and look at your life, then you start seeing what has worked and what hasn't worked in terms of boundaries. Boundaries, because all of a sudden, like you said, in this new time we're in, people are using my boundaries, and the boundaries is really just a wall you have built. It's not really healthy in a sense, right? I've always seen that boundaries from the people who I've learned from that I respect, and I respect their wisdom, and I think it's grounded, is that boundaries are about clarity and it's not about creating distance. What like setting clear
Mm.
expectations, right? It's
Please,
not about
say that
rejecting
again. Say that.
people. Uh,
Can you say that again? Boundaries is about clarity, not about
Yeah, and not
creating
distance, because I think
distance.
people think once I put a boundary, it means like I've put a barrier, right? Don't do, right? Even with kids, we'll say don't do, don't touch, right? But a boundary is an expectation. That's why even me, I work on it with my kids, even though it's very imperfect. It's like instead of saying what you should not do, this is what is the boundary. This is the expectation. Like this is what I expect you to do, not just don't do. It has to be clear, right? Because I think when we're setting boundaries, I would love if someone would be honest and even share in the chat, like, are you putting a boundary because you are rejecting the person, something has already happened, or are you putting a boundary now because you've always had it and people know what to expect and they always knew what to expect from
Mm.
you? Do you know what I mean? Because I think a boundary, especially when a tension has already happened, can help us stay respectful with each other long term. Like now we've set if we didn't set it before, now we've set it. Hey, if you and I are arguing, right, or we had a situation, it's like, okay, Toyin, we're family, we're sisters, you know, what do we need to do to make sure that we approach this conversation calmly? What do we need to do to make sure that in the future, because I'll say, when I did marriage prep with my husband, we spent half the day talking about situational things that can happen. How do we want to argue? Well, how will we not argue? What can be said? What cannot be said? I used to be like, what kind of practice is this one? Like, honestly, like who talks about how are we gonna argue? I'd never heard about that before. So I think
Mm.
that's the same thing when you said like fight.
Mm.
How we fight, our definition is we do not yell at each other. We don't call each other outside of our names. Now do we mess up the yelling, the calling out of our names? That's something that was natural for us. We're not using different type of words, but it can happen. But the truth is we have already talked about it. This is how we argue, and this is how we do not argue. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
I know it seems weird because you'll be thinking, how do I do this in a practical day-to-day relationship? But you kind of do without doing it. Because if we're talking and we sit down and we say, hey, this situation has happened, everybody will talk. Do you know what? You're already setting a tone. It is an assumption, But because you've already said it and everyone didn't come in and they're yelling, do you know what I mean? You've already set an expectation that this is how we talk to each other. We talk to each other with boundaries. There's a boundary you cannot overstep. The minute that someone's going to now start yelling and shouting, what do? What's the contingency plan? Do you know what I'm saying? So a boundary is really about being clear. Look at it. You studied geography now.
Theology.
You guys talk about boundaries from states to cities to countries. There's boundaries. Why are those boundaries there? They're very clear. Nope. We in our continent, we did fight with boundaries. If you step this boundary, wow, you know what I mean? Like boundaries are meant to put clarity there, you know? And so I know today people are using boundaries as a way to keep people out. I'm having new lens to see that boundaries are about clarity, what I'm willing to accept and what I'm not willing to accept. So even if I have a tension within the family, and I won't lie, not every boundary I have to announce. I don't need to announce every boundary with you. I don't need to have a manual and a booklet to tell you, see my boundaries with Dino. These are the boundaries. Do you know what I mean? Because I think there's this thing of like the internal work we're doing. It's like when people are in therapy and you think everyone should be in therapy. You're the one in therapy. So it's about you and how you interact with others. I heard something this week and it said the O's, what you can control. And there was an image, a very good image. But what I remember is you whenever you're trying to control others or outcomes or situations, you can't do that. You're only responsible for your actions, your words, and your responses. But you're not responsible for controlling even how other people respond, react. It's only you have control over. So that's what I mean about even boundaries. It's not every boundary I will say, my mother, see, this is my new boundary because I don't do this work and turn. I don't need to announce every boundary. How the fruits will speak. I won't lie. I've been working on that a few months. Like there's some things I'll be bubbling in. I want to say because I grew up. I have to have the last word. You know, there's some defensiveness that you build over time. I have to have the last word. I have to do tit for tat. And I just started practicing. Shut your mouth. That's my own boundary. It's a boundary because I realize sometimes when I'm doing that with certain people, it gets far and I don't feel comfortable with it anymore. So I don't need to tell them, hey, Toyin, this is my boundary. No, the boundary is about me and the clarity that I have for myself and how I want to show up in this situation. So for me, a lot of times it's talk less, honestly. Talk less. Go
Wow.
to your prayer closet, maybe complain to your husband, write it in your journal, but talk less and let yourself time to process. I try to not put any responsibility on other people when it's my work.
And
Now,
you know
the
what is
yes,
standing out for me in what you're saying is that I'm seeing a different side to the whole idea of the hard work of wholesome relationships. That sometimes the hard work sometimes is even your own clarity about your own needs, about what you want. Because it's occurring to me now that you're right. Boundaries in as someone who did geology, boundaries is really around clarity. It's not about barriers. It's
you're
not really
right.
about it's funny how that has never occurred to me before, but it's dawning on me. Like, yeah, when we put boundary between states, it's not that this state is, if you are from this state, you can never enter this state. It's that
Mm,
when you are in this other place, you are clear that you are now in a different state. Once you pass this place, you are clear that you are now here. And it's really interesting because it's showing me that you cannot have boundaries if you yourself you are not clear about what you want, what you don't want, what is right with you, what is not. And that's part of the hard work because some of us don't do those work with ourselves.
yeah.
We don't even like how do I explain this? Because it's something that even as a person, I had to start to work on
Mm,
that you cannot communicate boundaries that even you are not clear about. And that was when I didn't even realize that boundary itself was a clarity.
yes.
People can you can't hold against people things that they were never aware in. Do you understand? There was you don't like they were never aware, but even you yourself, you didn't realize that it's something that you don't like.
Mm,
So there's almost like this work of self-awareness that also goes into being able to build those some relationship of being able
mm,
to know that okay this kind this is the clarity around me, this is what my state looks like, This is,
Mm-hmm.
you understand,
Yeah.
this is my own state, and this is what my state looks like. If you have gone beyond this place, you have gone into another state. If you have gone
Yeah.
beyond this place, if you are acting like this, I'm going to interpret it like this. And
Exactly.
it's super useful, especially for close friendships. And
Mm.
in fact, especially for families and things like that,
Yeah.
where there has to be a sense of you're so into each other. Proximity sometimes makes boundaries even a lot more important, which is why you're talking about having boundaries for children, and being able to be clear that if you do this, you have this. If you do this, and for me, I feel like the biggest thing I'm really taking out of that is to really ask myself is what am I clear about what I want from relationships? What do I
Mm-hmm.
want? What do I
Mm-hmm.
do you understand? Because sometimes some of the issues that I have noticed that come from some of our relationships is actually because somebody was expecting something that somebody else did not know they were expecting.
Yeah.
Sometimes they are big clarity issues.
Mm-hmm.
They are just really big clarity issues. And for me, it was just a big thing to be able to call back what boundary means
Yeah.
as clarity, and to be able to understand that the whole idea of setting boundary is to make who you are clear to the people. And it's like you said, it's part of the hardness. It is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And sis, can you imagine? All of us individually, expectations are fluid. They're changing constantly. And it's not everything that even you recognize. So there's no level of, that's why it's still back to God. Like you're still going to need him because it's changing constantly. Then you think for every single person that you think is doing you wrong, it's also changing constantly. But I'll still put a boundary here in the thing that we're talking about because we're not talking about, again, there are some truly toxic relationships, there are some truly abusive relationships, right? And the boundaries have to be more set, right? But the even before you get there, those little boundaries you set, even for yourself, right? Are things that like you said, you have to be aware of them, but you have to also be aware like it's changing. That's why even this thing about relationships, even with your family, we should realize everyone goes through seasons. We're all going through seasons. And I
Mm.
think sometimes we even have more grace for external people than we do for family members, right? Because for whatever reason. And I
Yeah.
think it might be the proximity not physically, but because there's an expectation on family. And I think it is good to have expectation. So don't, we shouldn't swing to the way other side. We should have expectations of family. We should have expectations of mother to father, to children, to in-law. There should be a level of expectation. Boundaries too that should not be crossed. Do you know what I mean? How we'll also show up with each other. Because if we act like I can't expect, I should expect that you care for me, and those are not things I feel like I have to be announcing. Like my sister got my back. My sister won't be doing this. Do you know what I mean? Like we should
Yeah.
also have good expectations of that
Yeah.
because I think when we don't, um, it's also a miss. And it goes to what you said about having sinister thoughts about relationships. I think boundaries, just like you said with clarity, is just how can we allow this relationship to be healthy? I actually like the word wholesome better that you chose for this, and healthy versus good, because good, what is good anyways? The Bible talks about that. Who is good, right? But the when a relationship is wholesome, I looked up the definition. I'm going to read it here in a second. I think when the relationship is wholesome, it gives room or it gives space that resentment doesn't take over instead of grace.
Hmm.
Because especially when it's family, resentment can build over time, little by little by little by little by little by little. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know everybody's personal situations, but I also just leave room to understand that not everything you're going to address with certain family members. Like, and the Western world, you'll be feeling confident. Everything, I'll just come and tell my mother, see, like, no, don't do that one too. Do you know what I mean? You have to understand the context you're in. But when I looked up wholesome, the definition of wholesome is or having or suggesting health, behavior, and morals. Okay. And having the simple health or vigor of normal domesticity. And I looked up some of the synonyms. So there's healthy, there's beneficial, there's nutritious, nourishing, strengthening, sustaining, natural, uncontaminated, organic. And one thing I've said to you before, something like even breastfeeding, it's natural, but it can still be hard because it's still new and it's a different thing that you're doing. So even in a wholesome relationship, it may be natural. God created us for this, but it may not the process of it, the how, may still be very sharpening. It may still feel a little bit tense, right? And so, yeah, I think the geology thing, you got it, because that's how I see it. I wasn't thinking about it that it just came like that. Thank you, Holy Spirit, but you get it. You get it. Boundaries have a reason. It's not to keep people out like that as we use it. Okay. Is Toying frozen? Okay, she might be frozen. Okay. I don't know. Is it me? Can someone put in the chat? Let's see. Okay, she is. Okay, thanks, Ruth. Thank you. All right, I don't know who her lady was that was hosting. I'll send her a message. Okay, we'll give her a chance to get back in. We didn't plan for this, so we didn't plan that she would drop. Yeah, I think it's network correct. Okay, let me go through the chat. Does anyone have any questions or comments in the meantime until she comes back? Okay, she's back.
Apologies.
Hello. I said we didn't plan for this one, so we didn't say any, we didn't plan.
I apologize. I'm trying to sort out. I had an electricity issue, and
No
hopefully I'm
problem.
able to sort it out in like a few minutes.
No problem. No problem.
I'm just going to ask you a last question, maybe
Yes.
start having you to answer it because I knew we said we were going to talk about this and we're all
Yes.
going to be out of here. You guys should be sorry about the fact that I am looking like I'm in a dark place, but all of that is going to be sorted in just 1 to 2 minutes. All right, all right. I think I have it sorted now.
Yes.
Yes, all right. I was going to ask you a little bit about the whole the in-law relationship part because we said we're going to talk about it,
Yes.
especially because of the cultural context that we're in and what that looks like.
Yes.
What that looks like when it comes to an in-law relationship.
Yes.
And before I say that, I think one of the things I was going to put together from what you were saying when you were talking about the wholesomeness and ensuring that there's no resentment. And for me, I realized that one thing that I'm taking out of here from this conversation is navigating wholesome relationship. I'm summarizing this in my own head and I'm telling myself it looks like navigating wholesome relationship is literally just about doing whatever work it takes to ensure that you don't put yourself in a place where resentment begin to take hold in your heart, whatever that means. If that work is going to be the work of you being honest, if that work is going to be the work of setting boundaries, if that work is going to be the work of extending grace, if that work is going to be the work of dealing with truths, not making assumptions, whatever kind of work it takes to ensure that your heart does not sit in cynicism, doesn't sit in resentment as you navigate relationship, that is the work of wholesome relationship. And that's the way I was summarizing to myself. And I just felt it was a wonderful summary. But to add to our conversation in terms of the in-law part, because I said we're going to talk about that in just maybe 5 to 6 minutes, is how does all of these things changes when it comes to dealing with in-laws, and what are the maybe unique wisdom that we need? What are the unique wisdom that we need to be able to navigate that particular in-law relationship? And I can see someone has a question in the chat, so maybe I'm just going to take one more question in addition to everything that you're saying. Yes.
Okay. I don't know if it changes. I don't know if it changes. I think it's from the things we've discussed, it's the same. There's the identity even your in-laws, your family, you marry cannot fill the gap that only God can fill for you. So if you're still looking for validation, you're still looking to prove and get that still from them, that is still the lens in which you'll start showing up in everything. Okay. Okay.
I
Do
can
you
hear
get
you.
what I mean? I don't think anything changes. You start with the identity piece and let that be the place where only God can fill. right?
Mm.
I think where it comes in is when we add in the layer of cultural context, right? You're bringing in, it's to people from different backgrounds, people from different expectations, people from different ways of doing things, literally everything. It may even be the way that you cook rice. It may be totally different, right? Something as simple as that, but that can be, it looks little, but depending on the type of family you're set in, that can be a big deal. People cooking 5 different types of jollof because they said, no, we don't like the way you do it, the way you fry tomato. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a little thing that could be a big thing. The thing I always say, and I've told you before, I've talked to you before, I see it 100% grace for my own situation in the family that I'm placed in. 100% grace. Because I grew up here in America, and I grew up mostly with my single mother for a long time. I didn't have a context of growing up with in-laws and how to interact with in-laws and how I didn't have it. The prayers that people are praying in Nigeria about their in-laws and their mothers-in-laws, I didn't have that. So it wasn't even in my mind. I didn't have any sinister thoughts around that. Like, I really didn't. I didn't understand the level of nuance that those type of relationships can have and how people take that into context for their marriages. When I met my husband, before I ever knew, spoke to any of his family, spoke to any of his sisters, or talk sisterhoods, we're talking wholesome sisterhood here. He had such a level of respect for his sisters in the way he introduced them to me. That was my foundation. I had a level of respect for them based on his introduction of them to me. The stories he would share about them growing up and how they grew up and how this sister would pray and this sister would pay and this sister would, those are the stories that set the foundation for my own lens on these people. Do you get what I mean? His sisters, his mother, and I will add too, because it's not just when someone is liking their sisters and mother, it means they get it. Even women in general, he had a view on women that was beyond just his home. So that is the lens I'm coming in, and that's what I'm saying. It was just grace. So maybe now, but it wouldn't be any different. I'm just saying, like, I didn't even know that some people enter marriages and you don't know if the older sister will come and be telling you how to do. And I didn't have any of those contexts. And that helped me. It looks like that helped me. I came in, what did they say, bright-eyed and bushy. Like, I was coming in with an expectation for what my husband said. These are women in his life that he holds with the utmost respect and how he was brought up. And that's how I saw it. So by the time I met them, by the time we talked, that was the foundation. The only lens that I had was these women are women that I honor and I respect. Okay, so that's one season. Then there's the season of meeting people in different stages. And what I'll say is, I remember when we used to live in Tennessee, one of our church pastors was like, how are you living with your mother-in-law and all of that? I know you grew up here, all of these things. And I didn't really understand like where he's coming from because again, I said it earlier, like I felt we're fine. There's no issue, but it was almost like, is there an issue? Is something going on? Like,
Can we
you know
help
what I
you?
mean? Yeah, like, can
Blink
I help you?
twice.
Blink twice. Let me know, can we save you? And I was just like, no, we're fine. Because I think it's also hard for people to understand. That's why I say it's grace. I'll keep saying it's grace. People from different backgrounds, even again, I may be African, but I grew up in America. I have a different context, different country, everything. How can how do we do it? It's grace. It's grace. And I'll also say, because this is what I was getting at, the thing that he said is your mother-in-law must be a person that truly fears God. She has a relationship with God. Because if people individually don't have their own identity rooted and set, which I will say for my family, even though there's always tensions, there will always be tension. Again, I've come to not fear the tensions just because, do you know what I mean? Like, I've come to not fear the tension of just because we have this issue, then all of a sudden I'm just, oh, we don't like each other. No, I don't have that anymore. I won't lie. everybody individually, if they're rooted in Christ and they fear the God in which we say we're serving, and everybody is working on the fruits internally that God is working on all of us, there's a way I think that God will work this grace out in the family. And that's what I have in my family. I can't speak on anybody else's family. It is grace. And it's also individuals who, all of us imperfectly, have a foundation, have a consistency in the way that we view family somehow, some way. I'm always so surprised. I'm like, how are we doing it sometimes? I won't lie. Because people will be like, you stayed with your mother-in-law for a long time. Like, you know, no issue. Your sisters. Oh, these are things that have come after. Because remember, I came in, I don't have those thoughts. Are you sure the sisters are not doing you anyhow and anything? The brothers go, like, you know what I mean? Then, okay, I've learned from this the things I learned through movies and things. Okay, if it's an older sister, then who gets married first? There's this order of I say, I don't know. I'm learning everything on the go, honestly. And I think that's helped me by God's grace. That's what has helped me. I'm learning on the go. I don't have a lot of preconceived notions about it. And what I have, I appreciate because I know it's not toxic and I'm not dealing with abuse. So because of that, I just hone in on thank you, Lord, for where you have set me. Thank you for the family you've given me. What my husband said, everyone get their own score. All of us, we have our things, you know. But I think there's a set respect, not just on because you have married in this family, but there's a set respect on humans and dignity and how we fear God and how we have a vertical relationship with God and how we have a horizontal relationship with each other. So it's grace. I always tell God, thank you. Even the moments I'm annoyed or there's things, it's grace. It's grace. And I've learned how to have conversations with everybody differently. Things I can say, things I can't say. Those are wisdoms you learn. Is it always, like I said, announced? And no, it's just everybody's different. And it's okay. One thing we talk about a lot in our family is unity. And I love the word harmony because to me, harmony doesn't mean everything is good or harmony doesn't mean that everything sounds like it should individually because when you think about harmony, I always look at the band. Everybody has their own instruments. It's only when it's played together that there's a sound that is beautiful. So individually, we're still our individuals. Someone's playing clarinet, someone's playing harp, but when we come together, there's an expectation that's already set on what is family. There's an expectation already there, sometimes spoken, sometimes not spoken, but you can see it through the fruits. So if someone comes today and says, my sister did this, and if I will know that, no, that cannot, no. Do you know what I mean? Like I can't even hear it. I have no, and then I have to check first. You will not be the first one to tell me that this is how someone has done me. Do you know what I mean? I think there's trust. Trust is built over time. There's a grace, there's trust, and there's practice. Truly getting to know your in-laws, asking questions, loving them. Love is a practice.
And I think that's where I was going to come from because I
Okay.
think the thing you just said that's quite important to me is the fact that you came in already into the in-law relationship not having any bias against what it's supposed to look like. And that was
Yeah.
super helpful because like you said, what you eventually found out in Nigerian movies, you realize that
Ah,
a lot of young women already have interesting biases and conceptions about
yes.
what their in-laws are going to do with them, how they were, and I think it comes down to what we're saying before, that eventually, some relationship really have to start from doing that, whatever work you need to do that ensures that you don't keep yourself in a place where resentment and all of these kind of notions that already put relationship in a bad light in your mind plays in your head. Like keeping yourself in a place where you continue whatever work it takes. And for you, one of the things you've said that I heard is part of the work is just losing that fear for tension. And if there's anything that I am leaving this conversation with, is the idea that we don't have to, and I keep saying that first thing again, that idea that for you to be good does not mean he has to be easy. That
Yeah.
within good there can be tension, and we don't have to have any kind of fear of not being able to confront it. We don't have to be afraid of hard in the bid of building proper relationship. Thank you so much, Dina. This has been extremely good. This and I feel like probably what makes this really good for me also is because I know that the things you're sharing are not just they are not just words. They are things I've seen you live by. They are things that I have actually watched you, practice. So you're not speaking from a theoretical perspective. You're speaking from someone who is right into all of these things. Thank you so much. This has been really good. Thank you for doing this with me, and I'm really grateful. Okay. How has this been for you guys? Oh, yes, I had a question in the chat, but I'll probably try to take the question because we have to actually end this session because it's a simple question. Well, not simple, but I'm just going to read it out and maybe try to give my thoughts. The person was saying, I want to ask a question as regards people saying your emergency isn't my emergency in friendship. If that's a healthy thing to say to people or not. So for context, I once called someone for clarity as regards something and the person was unable to pick. I called 2 times more. At a later time, the person then said, your emergency isn't my emergency. And ever since that left me confused. I would like to, if you could clarify. And honestly, if you ask me, I would say that that clarification is actually supposed to be between yourself and your friend. If this is someone that is really a friend, sit them down and say, that thing you said, I interpreted it this way, and I don't think that is, do you understand? There's a way you already interpreted it, and you don't think it's healthy. So have that conversation with a friend. If it is a friend that you really want to keep and you want to have a conversation with. If it is not a friend that you necessarily want to keep, and you are just honest, like that's the person already telling you that honestly, yeah, your things are not that very important. Like whatever is urgent to you is not urgent to me. That is them already telling you what the friendship means to them. Take it and be honest with whatever they are honest with. I think that's part of the hardness. Sometimes the hardness looks like having conversations. Sometimes the hardness looks like dealing with what you can see and being saying, this is the person already telling me that maybe my conception of the friendship is higher than their conception of it. So what do I want to do about it? All right. Thank you so much. And you also sound like they were stressed about something. That's another thing. Give them grace and ask them. I think sometimes just having conversations saves us a lot of stress. Yes, it does. It does. It does. Just asking questions can clear a lot of doubt. A lot of doubt. Thank you, Dina. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to turn this back to Adeike. Adeike, can I see you? Thank you. I'm going to I'm trying to remove myself from pin and also remove Dina from pin and replace Adeike. Thank you, Adeike. You can take it from here. You're muted.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much, Mrs. Dina. That was such a refreshing conversation. It felt like a fireside chat with my big sisters. It was really amazing. Thank you so much. And I believe that the rest of us also were able to pick one or two nuggets and things that we're going to be living by. All right. So we'll be moving to our game session right away and we'll be playing. I know most of us already know the game. It's a very simple one. We're playing a game on two truths and one lie. Two truths and one lie. Two truths and one lie. And then after that, we'll go into the graduation ceremony of 16 Imagine Women. Okay, so here we go. Please let's listen to the two truths and one lie. It's basically from the conversations we've been having, so it's not going to be difficult. All right, number one sentence is good things are hard. Good things are hard. So is that a truth or a lie? Number two, to be fully loved requires self-protection. To be fully loved requires self-protection. Do you think that's a truth or a lie? All right, the third one, approach your relationships from a place that is not self-centered. So I'll take it again. Number one, good things are hard. That's the first one. Number two, to be fully loved requires self-protection. And number three, approach your relationships from a place that is not self-centered. So do we have a winner? Let me see in the comment section. So you can just do 1, 2, 3 so that it will be easy for us. Yes. Okay. Yes. So Christabel, thank you very much. We have a winner. Oh, we have a winner. Number 1, you. Number 2, Delay. Number 3, true. So let's quickly talk about number 2. To be fully loved requires self-protection. I just had to take it from what we learned that one of these Mrs. Dina said, to be fully loved requires being fully known, not self-protection. I believe that was helpful and I hope that will help the lesson better. Okay. It's about time for the graduation ceremony. I'll be handing over to the second director for 3 of the emerging women circle. Person by Ruth Oluwafolakemin Adeleye. Over to you, ma.
Hello everyone, good evening. My sincere apologies. I won't be able to put on my video because I'm not in a place where I can do that. So yes, we're on to the graduation ceremony for the Emerging Circle Cohort 3. Emerging Circle Cohort 3, Emerging Circle Cohort, Emerging Circle rather, it's a mentorship space where young ladies get to have direct mentorship with Mrs. Oluwatoyin Ajiloro Chukwemeka. And I know that the participants or the graduates have a lot to say about the experience. It's always very so enlightening, so transformative, so impactful. It's a 12 weeks long mentorship. And yes, some people have really stayed through and would be celebrating them right now as we share a video. Okay, can the video be shared, please? I'm not seeing our energy in the chat. The graduates, Emerging Circle Cohort 3 graduates. Are you guys here? Like, no, I'm not seeing your excitement. Okay, Omolola Folarin is there. All right, ma'am. How happy are you to have gone through this transformative journey? Because I know it's really, really okay. I can see Shubomi in the chat. Where are the rest? I can see some of you. Ademisola. Show your excitement in the chat, in the comment section. Yeah, really, it was worthwhile and amazing. Really worthwhile, really, really worthwhile. Okay, so while we wait, yes, keep on showing your excitement in the chat. No, sir. She says your senior is here. Amazing. Yeah, really worthwhile. I think that's one of the things that, that stands out in the Emerging Circle, the mentorship sessions, because there's always like fortnight mentoring calls. And one of my own highlights, because of course I was also a part of the session, of the mentorship session. One of my highlights is always the reflection after. You get to just reflect, like you have a whole lot of things to think on. So even if you're not someone that's really does a lot of reflection or, thinking deep, it just really brings out that reflective capacity in you. And I think that's really, really good, because when we reflect, we see a lot of things, where to change, what to work on, your mindset, the structure, the systems that have not been working for you. Yeah, you just get to see a lot of things about you. And I think that's really, really beautiful about the Emerging Circle mentorship circle. Yeah, so I'm so excited for the graduates. And of course, we will be having a panel session immediately. Once the video is played, we'll be having a panel session. We have one or two people talk about their experience from the mentorship circle. Okay, the video is up now. Thank you,
To
ma'am.
the Emerging Circle Course 3 graduates. Congratulations to the elegant Favor, the resourceful Praise, the intelligent Immaculata, amazing Hayolua, delightful Sharon, confident Omolola. We say congratulations to the talented Temitope, creative Adeikeolua, amiable Aderisola, capable Olashubomi, resilient Ruth, wonderful Oluwatimimimi. Congratulations to the friendly Moturaya, the brilliant Bumi, the responsible Oluwashim, bold Elizabeth, determined Holy. We say well done for staying through.
Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations. Can we just say a big congratulations to them in the chat? Right now, I'll be handing over back to Adekiolua. So she'll be taking us on the panel session. And then we have a number of the participants share their experience in the mentorship circle. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our beloved Deputy Director. We love you so much, and congratulations to all who celebrate. All right, so I'll be calling on our panelists. I'm calling on Olubumi to speak about our experience briefly. So Olubumi, are you here? Can you unmute yourself and share your experience?
Good evening. Good evening, Adeke. Good evening, Mrs. C. Good evening, everyone. Okay.
All right. So can you tell us how it has been for you, the emerging circle?
Okay. Yeah, thank you. To me, I would say the mentorship, like if I were to describe it in one word or two, it was transformative and valuable. So the whole mentorship program, it gave me a mindset shift. Like it expanded my mindset, it made me see things in different lights. Like I got to understand some things like in a better way, like in a better manner, in a better light. So the mentorship, we had like about 6 teams or like let me say 6 major themes or topics that we had mentorship calls on. And I can say that every part of it, like they had an impact on every aspect of my life, like the totality, the entirety. And the mentorship was very like it was special because let me say I've been in like maybe a mentorship before and this one was different. It was unique. Normally I would have been saying, okay, maybe this particular thing, what I will hear is something I've heard before. It's something like, okay, I've always heard this thing before. Let's just say this is like a refresher course. But the way Mrs. C, the way she always teaches or the way she always like talk, like she always approaches things in a different manner. Like it's not what you're expecting. It's never what you're expecting. It's always different. She always brings a different approach to things and like I really appreciated that. It was like a learning space for me. So it's like it gave me a space to reflect. So I did a lot of reflection. And the way the program was, there were assignments. So we had assignments. The assignment even give us like the space to do more deeper reflections. And she always evaluates each person's assignment. In the next call, you know that okay, she actually went through what you read. So it will make you like okay, yeah, it's like okay, do things properly. And you also like do a personal project. Some of us do things that we've always wanted to do since just like it pushes you. And there was also the peer mentorship part. That was just like okay, it gave me like okay, somebody I can just talk to, like a big sister or a sister, I can just talk to, can be vulnerable to. So the mentorship was really great. It was really great for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Also, I want to ask that which of the modules really stood out for you? in the emerging women circle, which of the moves stood out for you?
Wow. Okay. We had about 6 modules. To be honest, each of them were great. Each of them were great. But if I were to pick, I would say meaning. Yes, meaning was our very first like module, our very first session. And the fact that every other modules they were connected to meaning, maybe okay, that would be great. Let me pick meaning. So the way she defined meaning, maybe she could have used the word purpose, but she said, okay, she didn't want to limit the word to purpose, meaning like your sense of meaning. What the meaning like your meaning is just like the core of your personality, of your existence. It's more than what you do, it's more than your job, it's more than your vocation. It's beyond like maybe okay, maybe I'm a pharmacist, it's beyond I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business person. It has to do with every aspect of your life. And there were some things that she mentioned. She mentioned that it's not your sense of meaning is not just about the things that put you in the spotlight. It's even like up to the down to the mundane things, like maybe you are a sister to someone, you are a friend, like you are a mother or you are a wife, like anywhere you are in every capacity that you are serving, like there's a meaning that you are supposed to like you have a meaning in there. And she also there were other things that she also mentioned, like your life. There's one thing that if you were to look at it from purpose, you say, okay, this is my purpose for my life now. And maybe you feel like, okay, if I've achieved this particular thing, I've fulfilled my purpose. No, your meaning or purpose does not just end, or it's not just one particular thing. At every season, at every point in time, there's like God's assignments for you. There's something that God wants you to do. So it's up to you to ask that, okay, at this point in my life, maybe I'm a new mom now, or I'm doing something, I'm at a particular stage of my life. Okay, God, what will you have me do at this particular time? It's not that okay, because you've done something in the past, that means that you've already fulfilled your purpose in the past. No, like there's always a new thing for you to, there's always a new assignment. And she also mentioned that meaning is like you fully living out your meaning is when your heart is at peace at what you are doing. You have a peace, your heart is at a state of peace, regardless of what you are doing or what you are not doing. And it doesn't mean that you are being complacent. It doesn't mean that you are being complacent, but you are doing things according to God's will and God's plan for your life. So I would say it's me, even though basically almost all the sessions were mind blowing.
Thank you so much, Olubumi. Thank you so much. All right, I'll also be calling on Praise here. While we wait for Praise, I would like to call on Muturayo. Muturayo, are you here? And are you ready to share your experience?
Good evening, ma'am.
All right, good evening, Muturayo.
Yes,
We'd
ma'am.
like to hear from you. So I would like to just ask if you were to recommend the emerging women circle, or if you were to tell someone that was thinking about joining the mentorship session, what would you tell them?
Okay, thank you so much for this. Thanks so much, ma'am, for the opportunity. Okay, if I want to recommend someone for this program, I'll just tell them to
This
quickly
is
jump
my
up.
question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. I will just tell them to quickly jump up on that opportunity because the program is not just on mentorship alone. It is a platform for growth, for self-discovery, for intentional living. Like my colleagues was talking about meaning the other time. I can never forget that mentorship call because I have to go back after the program to go and divine what, like to go and understand what that word means. Like I need to divine what is the meaning of life. Like I need to be given everything about my life. I need to be given its definition. So the program is something that you should quickly jump up on because the program is going to equip you. It's going to change your mindset, your knowledge. Like if you need growth, just jump up on that program. That's what I have to say.
Thank you so much. So, what module? I know you spoke about meaning, but I'd still like to know what module stood out for you during the mentorship step and why?
Okay, should I just say that maybe all the modules? Because I can remember that even before the program, I've already drafted out what I want to learn. And to my surprise, Mrs. Tony actually cover a lot about it. Most especially when it comes to, like, let me talk about marriage. I can't even forget that call about marriage where they asked us that we should, what is our sense of vision when it comes to our marriage? That what are you planning to build, all those kind of things. And she also talked about the kind of influence, the kind of words, the kind of people that we are going to allow in our circle, that we should not be pressurized, should not allow anything, our environment. And she gave us an example about herself when she wants to get married, that when it comes to pressure, she try as much as possible to shun it down. Like that's module really, 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 like it's really impactful. And also there's also one module about mindset. That module, it stood out for me because that's when we are talking about, like, she made us to understand who you are, like which kind of mindset do you have. Like she was even telling us that what does mindset, what does it mean to you. So each session was very, very powerful because at times I would just need to go back and be writing it down one by one to be giving it my own definitions. So mindset modules and also marriage also meaning, like it really, really stood out for me.
All right, thank you so much, Motsurayo, for sharing your experience in the Emerging Women Circle. So these are live, I mean, these are real people, real stories. But one of allow people to share their experiences is because there'll be a wait list for the new cohorts of people that want to join the Emerging Women Circle and also experience transformative mentorship post mentoring session. So if this is you or if this sounds like you, I'll be dropping the link to join the wait list in the comment section right away. So I'll be dropping the link here. So if you think it's something you're interested in, you can do well to join the wait cohort 4 and see for yourself. All right, that will be all for this session. I'll be handing over to Mrs. Chukwemeka. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am. Ms. Kende, are you here or did I hand over to Mrs.
I think
Yes,
that
yes.
okay, she's here. All right.
Yes, thank you. I think we should do, I wanted to do vote of thanks because we have finally, can you hear me? Okay. We finally gotten to the end of the Emerging Women Summit 2026. What a awesome conversation. I don't know how you're feeling about it, but in one word, can we describe what the summit has been for us? How has it been for us? What have you learned? I know that Dina really dropped so many gems for us today, regarding awesome relationships, navigating our adult relationship as sister. And I particularly love how she established the foundation. She gave us the structure, the foundation of where it's coming from. That this is what we are working with. This if there is anything, this is where we are getting our insights from. And it's so awesome. How many of us are feeling like that? I'm not seeing anything in the chat. Can anybody hear me? Okay, thank you, Magdalene. She said enlightening. Actually, it's so enlightening. Are we don't we want to go on? Don't we want to share how today has been for us? Can we in one word just share how has it been? How has it been? Okay, let me assume that we are typing because I know it's a lot. A lot of things that we're typing. So I want to actually say thank you. I want to say thank you to everyone who has helped us in the planning. I want to say thank you, Christabel. Mindset shifting. I agree. It's a mindset shift, honestly, because there are some things that I didn't consider before, and especially there was a part where she talked about identity when it comes to creating with even in-laws and that barrier thing barrier is clarity. Ah, my God, explosive. I can tell, right? So okay, in 1 minute, let me wait for more people to actually share with us. We have 41 people right on this call. So thank you, Elizabeth. It is directional. Yes, it is directional. I agree with you. I need more people to tell us how they feel in one word. Describe. Yes, it's been very insightful. It's been very insightful. Do you think your questions have been answered? Enriching. I agree. Enriching says so enriching. Ruth, that's the word. That's the word, clarifying, because for me, I also got it. It was so clarifying for me. It was so clarifying. That part of presence, not proximity also. It was really clarifying. So, okay, why we don't drop in what for us in the chat? I just want to say thank you to everybody. I want to say thank you to my team members that joined me in planning this summit in when we had to shift the date, we had to become flexible. Want to say thank you. Yes, 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 we're definitely going to do that because I want to say thank you. Thank you to, can we also say thank you also to our speaker today? I mean, she really did justice to that thing. Let's all say thank you. If it's by reaction, if it's by in the chat, let's say thank you. And can we also say thank you to Mrs. C for not giving up on the Energy Women Summit and kept on holding it. Like I know that sometimes you come and say, I don't know, I don't think I want to do this thing this year. But she will still come and say, okay, you know what? I'm already understanding what I need to talk about. So can we say thank you? Because I see one thing I've always seen is how God gives her the right thought for the season at each point in time. Yes, God bless you. Thank you so much, ma. We appreciate everything you're doing for the emerging women. Quad 3, they are saying thank you and saying it on behalf of them too. Am I speaking your mind, guys? For the 16 emerging women awardees, we're saying thank you. Thank you for having us in mind and helping us as we're all growing up together. This is me saying thank you to everybody for being here, for staying to the end. I'm really, really grateful. So I'll be turning it to Mrs. C to say a final word of gratitude as we close.
Hi everyone. How you guys doing? Thank you so much for everyone who waited to the end. I'm always really proud of people who wait to the end of events like this. I thought I wanted to say my own thank you and also a bit of my own goodbyes. Especially to my emerging core 3 people, I am definitely going to miss you. I know that I already promised you guys a post mentorship call that we're going to have after the summit, which is the first time I'm ever doing that. Usually, this summit is usually our last get together like this, but I'm glad that we are also going to still meet one more time to just have like a question and answer kind of session. Thank you so much. It's been an amazing, I think about 4 months with you guys since I think around October, November. I don't know what particular time we started, but it's been an amazing time with you guys. Thank you so, so very much. Thank you for allowing me to share my thoughts with you. Thank you for showing up to everyone who eventually graduated. You guys know that it's not everyone that started with us that graduated with us. So to every one of you that graduated, I'm super proud of you. Well done. Thank you for taking time to invest in your own growth, in your own transformation. I wanted to thank everyone who has participated and worked on this quad 3. Thank you so much to everyone involved. Teresa, for Lakemi, thank you so much. Oluwatomi Sin. You guys should Core three women, you people should take these people. These are the people that actually made all of these things possible. It wasn't, it's not, you've already seen it's never just me. So can we all say thank you? Thank you so much for liking me. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Lua Missing. Thank you to everyone who plays one role or the other to make all of this thing work together. Thank you so much, Dina, for joining us to speak today. And can we truly give a thank you to Kende, who pulls everybody together. Kende is the person that literally pulls everybody together. She's supposed to literally be the person because coordinating supervisor of everything Emerging Women. Thank you so much, Kende. It's amazing to see how much even you have grown together with me on this project. I think you are one person that has been with me from like the beginning of this project. I'm really grateful. I'm always thankful for having you as a very reliable and that work with me. Thank you so much. As she was saying something about how every year I'm always saying that I don't want to do this. To be honest, that's she gets to know that because yeah, trust me, every time I always have to ask myself, why am I doing this? It's not automatic for me. I don't feel any sense of compulsion to feel like we did it last year, we must do it this year. I'm not like that. If I don't find a reason to do it, I am not going to. Until I come to terms with the reason why I'm doing it is when I now say, okay, yeah, let's go and do something until then. And I'm always grateful I did that. I remember that as she was speaking, what I was remembering was that this time last time when we were doing IW Summit, I was heavily pregnant, like heavily pregnant. And I remember it was that last year own that I really struggled to have because I was like, God, I'm so close to my duty. Why am I doing this and all of that? But I'm also glad that we did last year because all of that is what has led us this far. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for coming. I hope you have a wonderful evening. And I hope that, this conversation is going to help you to, keep working towards awesome relationship. Have a wonderful evening or morning or afternoon, depending on wherever you are in the world. Bye. Bye, everyone. Good night.
Bye. Ma.
Yeah.